to ignore the results.
There is a campaign for Joe Biden here in the Granite State, a write-in campaign. And we've seen, Biden administration officials. Pete Buttigieg was here last week. Jennifer Granholm was here as well. Jamie Raskin, not a Biden administration official, but basically a surrogate for the campaign. And Maura Healey, the governor of Massachusetts, came up, all supporting the Biden administration for the administration officials and touting work and money that's been spent here. But the others were in support of the write-in campaign, Raskin and also Maura Healey. So there's a campaign for Joe Biden that doesn't exist but exists, in which the Democratic Party sent a letter to the New Hampshire Dems saying to stop doing this, and your primary is meaningless, while the New Hampshire Democrats are trying to support Biden. It's a remarkable dynamic. Dean Phillips has invested significant money, the congressman from Minnesota, to try to do well in the polls, but he's not going to peak much higher than 20%. Biden should still, win pretty handily with the write-in campaign, despite the fact that the National Democratic Party said the primary is meaningless. Biden and his supporters seem to think otherwise.
And the delegates, you get no delegates, right?
No delegates. Yeah, but I mean, if you look at Iowa and New Hampshire anyway, it's more of a, it's more just to kind of set the tone for the races. The delegates are not that big of a deal. It's more the, the perception and all the, aura of the primary and caucus, as opposed to meaning too much delegate-wise.
New Hampshire has a better track record than Iowa for Republicans, with the winner there more often going on to be the nominee. Ronald Reagan in 1980, after George H.W. Bush won in Iowa. In 2008, Mike Huckabee won Iowa, but it was John McCain who won in New Hampshire and became the nominee. 4 years later, Rick Santorum's Iowa victory was overshadowed by Mitt Romney's New Hampshire win. And 8 years ago, Donald Trump, after losing to Ted Cruz in Iowa, won big in New Hampshire on his way to the White House.
Haley got into some trouble a week or so ago in Milford, where she said that Iowa starts things, then New Hampshire corrects it, and then we're going to take it down to my sweet state of South Carolina. And of course, DeSantis played that up in Iowa, and maybe not the brightest thing to say that and then spend the next 10 days in Iowa campaigning for the caucus. But Nikki Haley was 100% right. Iowa is generally corrected by New Hampshire because it has more of a general election type of feel, with independents being able to vote. But the party, the Republican Party, Democratic Party, have all lurched well to the extremes at this point. And you wonder who are going to be the voters, as you mentioned, in the Republican primary, and where are those independents going to go. A big thing to watch here for the next a week is, what is Haley's messaging like? Is she going to focus on Trump and try to bring in independents and some Democrats who are registered as undeclared to try to defeat Donald Trump, and use that language, and talk about things that, maybe Republican voters or people that are leaning towards Trump aren't comfortable with? That's going to be an interesting thing, because if she's going to get across the finish line here, it's going to be independents that push her across the finish line. And as we saw in Iowa, there was a significant amount of her voters that will vote for Joe Biden over Donald Trump in the general election. Does she play to those folks, or does she, try to, win voters who are leaning Trump in the margins?
Turnout. Is it typically high for the primary?
Yeah, it's typically high, and that's the that's the expectation. That's one of the reasons that New Hampshire always makes the argument for going first. So yeah, we expect the turnout generally for these is about 60-65%.
Chris Ryan, host of New Hampshire Today on WGIR AM and also on 96.7 FM. Great to talk to you. Thanks very much for joining us.
Appreciate you. Thank you so much.
This is News Talk STL on 1019, 94.1 and newstalkstl.com.
Hi, I'm Henry Winkler. My eyes are very important to me. My eyes connect me with things I love. I loved my late father-in-law dearly. He always lit up a room, but his vision dimmed with age. He had age-related macular degeneration, or AMD. And since partnering with Apellis, I've learned there's an advanced form of the disease called geographic atrophy, or GA. His struggle with vision loss made me want to help others know about GA's warning signs. For some, straight lines seem wavy, like when looking at a door frame. For others, blurry or missing spots can make it hard to read or see loved ones' faces. Many have trouble seeing in low light, making driving at night difficult. GA gets worse over time and cannot be reversed. If you've been diagnosed with AMD and notice vision changes, don't wait. Talk to your eye doctor about GA today. Learn more at GAWon'tWait.com. That's GAWon'tWait.com.
We all make resolutions this time of year, and let's face it, most of them won't stick. But here's one that's not only easy to keep, but will help you feel healthier all year long. Navage. Navage provides quick, drug-free nasal relief by washing saline in one nostril, around the back of the nose, and out of the other nostril. This time of year, when everyone is sick, Navage helps by sucking out germs, bacteria, and viruses trapped in our noses that cause us to feel miserable. And come allergy season, it does the same with dust, pollen, and other allergens. And unlike medications that can take time to help, if they're effective at all, Navage helps treat congestion symptoms in seconds flat, without drugs. This New Year's, resolve to use drug-free Navage to help you breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier all year long. Ask for Navage at Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Target, or find us online at Navage.com. Navage. N-A-V-A-G-E. Clean nose.
Columbo and Katie.
This week has been dominated by national headlines, but there's a lot going on locally as well. On Wednesday, we'll discuss the latest from Jeff City with Rodney Boyd at 2:20. Then we'll have some fun and open Closest Cabinet at 3:05.
Weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
Southern Armory, your hometown gun store. Come and be more than just a customer. Southern Armory, we carry the best guns, holsters, knives, magazines, ammunition, and even food storage. Special orders are welcome. Southern Armory, 1 mile east of 270 and 44, 9901 Watson Road, and southernarmory.com. That's southernarmory.com.
Whether you're purchasing your first firearm or adding to your collection at Southern Armory, you're more than a customer, you're part of the family. Follow Southern Armory on Facebook or at southernarmory.com.
Contact Seavers JCB now to take advantage of Section 179 of the IRS tax code that may entitle you to deduct the full price of qualifying equipment purchased or financed during 2023. Add to that JCB's incredible end-of-the-year financing opportunities, cash incentives, and rebates. There's never been a better time to own a JCB. Call Seavers JCB before year-end tax savings and financing offers expire, or visit online at seaversjcb.com.
Hey, it's Columbo and Katie inviting you to join us, plus Mark Close and a whole bunch of our musical friends, Saturday, January 27th at Westport Playhouse.
Our band, Mark's band, and Lenny Mink will be joined by some very special guests for an awesome night of music for a great cause. All proceeds go to Thrive St. Louis. Get your tickets now at westportplay.com and join us for a great party January 27th at Westport Playhouse. Brought to you by Weber Chevrolet.
Tickets on sale now at westportplay.com.
Tim Jones here to tell you it's officially landscape lighting season at Pro Outdoor. To see some of their incredible lighting work, visit their website, prooutdoor.com. They offer low-voltage landscape lighting that really makes your home stand out from your neighbors. If you're looking for accent lighting, path lighting, or wanting to expand your outdoor living space, or just looking for a little more security around your home, the team at Pro Outdoor are the ones to call. Pro Outdoor can take care of all your outdoor needs, including lawn fertilization, irrigation installation and service, as well as landscape lighting. They're offering some great end-of-year specials. Be sure to call them today. Schedule a consultation. That's prooutdoor.com.
Where callers won't be canceled.
It's just so ridiculous and so offensive.
And we don't socially distance from differing opinions.
I couldn't disagree with you more. I haven't always agreed with you.
Free speech is alive and well in America right here.
This country is worth fighting for.
That's why we're canceling those season tickets. That's why we're canceling those subscriptions.
I'm just so sick and tired of it.
Disgust us.
It's insanity, man.
This is News Talk STL.
At the end of the
John Lovis.
I never take 2 lumps before dinner. It ruins the appetite.
Kevin Nealon.
I'm willing to go off the wagon, man. Let's try it.
And George Wendt.
Could I give you some feedback as a bartender? You suck.
A history of the world in 6 glasses. Streaming now on Fox Nation. Sign up today.
Providing a full picture of the news. You're listening to the Fox News Rundown. More up next.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1 and newstalkstl.com. The Vic Porcelli Show.
So it's expected to have a bunch of pro-Palestinian protesters at the St. Louis County Council meeting Tuesday night. We'll see what Mark Harder has to say about that Wednesday morning at 10:41.
Weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Congratulations to everyone at Connor Roofing. We chose the Connor Roofing team for our National Best of the Best Award for customer satisfaction without telling anyone at Connor Roofing, based on over 30 years of fantastic customer reviews. Rob and Kathy Connor and their team deliver very high quality roofing, siding, gutters, storm damage restoration at a fair price with integrity. Connor Roofing has had an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau for years. Count on Connor. For an estimate, please visit ConnorRoofing.com. That's CONNER roofing.com.
Hi, Sean Long for STL Fenceworks. STL Fenceworks is proud and excited to install American-made aluminum and vinyl fence products, as well as American-made decking. For instance, STL Fenceworks has teamed up with Jareth Manufacturing. Jareth invented the aluminum fence industry over 50 years ago. The Jareth product is wholly sourced and manufactured in the U.S., and STL Fenceworks is the third largest Jareth customer in the world. STL Fenceworks is vinyl fencing also, and not just white. We partner with National Vinyl Products to provide you with tan, clay, gray, and variegated wood grain vinyl fence products too, all made in the U.S. Not to be forgotten, STL Fenceworks is maintenance-free decking. STL Fenceworks is the #1 distributor of Wolf Cellular PVC in the Midwest, proudly manufactured in the U.S. and voted #1 maintenance-free decking product in the United States. Let STL Fenceworks make your outdoor space magical. Visit STLFenceworks.com today and learn how we can make your backyard dreams into a reality. At STL Fenceworks, your satisfaction is our passion.
Hey, it's Tony Colombo. The new year is upon us, and the cleaning pros at Zero Res are starting things off with a bang with what I think is their best offer ever. Book a cleaning in January and mention the Colombo special, and you'll get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $119. Plus, you can take $50 off an air duct cleaning. We trust Zero Res with our home, and after you take advantage of this amazing special, you will too. Just remember to mention the Colombo special when you call 314-474-2020 or book online at ZeroResSTL.com.
The O'Reilly Update, brought to you by Seavers JCB. Visit them at their St. Peter's location.
Bill O'Reilly here, and I'm warming up. Stand by for the O'Reilly Update Morning Edition. But first, if you own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles, listen up. Car Shield is a low-cost monthly vehicle protection plan now available to you. This protection plan is at an all-time low price. Please call 800-925-7584 for a free quote. Drivers who activate today will also receive free roadside assistance and towing at no additional cost. That is 800-925-7584 right now. On this Wednesday, with the presidential campaign now officially underway, there is a disturbing shift taking place among many American voters. Some of us are actually going back to the 18th century. When U.S. Grant ran for president, most Americans knew he was a successful Civil War general, but that's all they knew. Grant was a big boozer, poor manager, and timid when it came to defending Native Americans who he knew were getting hosed. Back then, the American media was only in print, and much of that was rank propaganda. Folks voted but had little idea about what their ballots would actually lead to. Today, we have a level of media saturation never before seen on the planet. Yet many American voters are as clueless as their ancestors were. The reason is apathy. In order to be informed, you have to spend time reading and listening. That's not fun many times. Cruising the cell phone and watching idiotic reality shows is much more appealing to many. The power seekers on all sides understand that propaganda rules in the USA. The electorate is largely incurious, and they are not, generally speaking, seeking enlightenment. Back after this.
To avoid digital threats, turn on NordVPN. It's trusted by millions of users. Just visit NordVPN.com. One of the fastest VPNs on Earth will block web trackers, malicious websites, and malware-ridden downloads. It will also encrypt your internet traffic while maintaining a smooth connection. So improve your digital privacy and protection against hackers with one simple click. Get the special deal at NordVPN.com and enjoy safer internet daily. NordVPN. Cybersecurity built for every day.
That is the Morning O'Reilly Update. More analysis later on.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Well, the Bahamas it is not, but we're trending in a warmer direction. Another cold start, but we'll do some melting this afternoon. Temperatures climb to 38 under mostly sunny skies. Down to 23 tonight. Let's keep an eye out for a few flurries or light snow overnight. Doesn't look like much, but I can't rule out some slick spots tomorrow morning. Then the daylight hours Thursday are dry. We bounce back into the mid-30s. Another chance of light snow Thursday night into Friday morning, and then temperatures crash hard on Friday. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
So many ways to listen to News Talk STL.
Come join the conversation.
Enable our Alexa skill. Hey, Alexa, play News Talk STL.
Welcome to News Talk STL, conservative talk radio for St. Louis.
Always streaming at newstalkstl.com or on your radio at 1019, 94.1, and 99.1 HD3. News Talk STL. News, analysis, and opinion. Welcome home. Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. Having your first cup of coffee? Mike's on his... Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Now that the Iowa caucuses are in the rearview mirror, politically speaking, all eyes are on New Hampshire and South Carolina for their primaries. Or are they? Listen, there's a lot of people involved in the campaigns right now, just volunteers or on the right in general, who are saying, forget those. It's over. Just coronate Donald Trump, making the nominee, and let's move on. I disagree with that. No question he's the front runner. No question he's in the best position to win that nomination, but a lot of things can happen between now and when the nomination is actually earned. And I'm not just talking about primaries. I'm not just talking about caucuses. There's a lot that can happen. We'll get to that a little bit later on this morning. I'm Mike Ferguson. Thanks for making News Talk STL part of this Wednesday morning. Well, assessing what the Iowa caucuses mean gives us a better perspective as we look ahead to New Hampshire, which happens in less than a week. That primary is happening in less than a week. And Susie Moore, our good friend from redstate.com, joined us on Tuesday's program, kind of break down what we saw and what we learned in Iowa. Like I said, that's going to move ahead, and that's going to be a part of what's in the future. Here's what Susie had to say.
Out of the field of 4 upper-level candidates, and then a few also-rans, Donald Trump gets just a hair over half. I mean, he got a majority of the votes, winning 98 out of the 99 counties. Now, it's still just a 12-delegate lead he's starting off with. But did he meet expectations? Did he exceed them? What's your read on Donald Trump's performance? And we'll start with him.
I would say that he met expectations. His margin of victory was pretty much in line with what the polling has been showing, which is actually surprising in and of itself because we had some suspicions that the polling may not be in line with how the caucus would end up. But I would say he definitely met expectations. I don't think there's any way you could say he failed to meet them. I know that there were some on the left and at MSNBC that were trying to spin it like almost half of Iowans voted against him. Well, I mean, you had as you put it, a four-person race in terms of theoretically viable candidates, and yeah, I don't think that's a realistic interpretation of the way this vote shook out.
Wait a minute, are you saying that Rachel Maddow was not being objective, Susie?
I know, it's shocking, isn't it?
Good morning, Susie. Gabe here. What do you make of this early call that that the media had by basically, I think a half hour after voting started in the state, sort of.
No, it was.
Yeah.
It was between 25 and 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Before, as it turns out, it looks like a majority of the counties and the precincts hadn't even begun the actual voting yet. I don't mean to jump in, but I'm going to go off on another rant.
Yeah, please. No.
Because I glanced at the clock when I heard it the first time, and it was 7:25.
Yeah.
Jeez. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you for a fact it was that, because our article reporting on what they were calling it, or on their call of it, went up at 7:42. And I wrote it. And I can't write it in 30 seconds. But I got it up as quickly as I could. And then even that caused some consternation. And I understand. I will say, when we were reporting on it, I didn't even realize that they weren't already voting and hadn't already conducted the process. I just knew that the AP, Fox, Decision Desk, everybody was calling it.
Mm-hmm.
And in my view, we needed to get up the fact that the race was already being called, because that's a story in and of itself. Now, in hindsight, yeah, I think that the networks and the outlets that called it formally probably need to review with people and explain why it's okay to do that when the voting is still going on. When you're talking about a normal primary or a regular election, the polls have closed. Now we're going to start tabulating. And even if people are still in line in some places, that's kind of a different situation. Here, as you point out, Mike, people literally hadn't started the actual process of caucusing, and it was already being called. And I don't like that.
Right.
And I have really mixed feelings about being a part of reporting on it, but we were kind of caught between a rock and a hard place.
Well, and on this, I mean, would it have changed the outcome as to who was first, second, third, fourth? In all likelihood, no, certainly wouldn't have changed who won the caucuses. But in some cases, people are getting their alerts, ding, 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 ding on your phone, USA Today, NBC, CBS, ABC, Fox News, all these different places. It's over. It's done. And so I could imagine that there'd be a lot of people that are like, well, I was going to vote for Vivek Ramaswamy, or I was going to vote for Ron DeSantis, but I guess it's over. I'm going home. It's 25 degrees. I'm going to get home as quick as I can. So it is possible that there could have been a delegate or two or three that could have been in play by this. And I just think that all of these media outlets that rushed in to call this, and so it sounds like your story was, the story was about them calling it, is what it sounds like. So when you've got all these national outlets rushing to call it and say it's all over, and then it turns out they were doing entrance polling for people who hadn't even voted yet, and then they said, well, it's all over, it's done. I think it was highly irresponsible, and it's something we've got to be on guard for, because at that point, you are influencing what happens in the election.
Oh, I absolutely agree with that. And I think that they do need to answer for that, because that is a problem. As you said, it would not have changed the outcome. I think there's no doubt that Donald Trump would have won the caucuses either way. I know for a fact people that were there, that were in Iowa, that said, some guy yells out that they've already called it for Trump. So some people got up and left.
Yeah.
And these are people who went out in this, in horribly cold weather to do their part. Well, if they got up and left, were they planning to caucus for Donald Trump, or were they? I mean, you don't know for sure, but you're right. It could have shifted it enough that maybe DeSantis picks up 5 and Haley picks up 3, or whatever it is. It could have been enough to make a difference. And so I don't blame people that were upset with this, and I don't blame the DeSantis camp in particular for saying, "Whoa, flag on the play."
Even if they were there to caucus for Trump and they said, "Oh, well, it's won anyway, let me go." Trump could have picked up more delegates because it's not a winner take all. So it could have affected anybody, and we don't know the outcomes we can't call. But one of the things that I found surprising, and we talked about this earlier, was how well Nikki Haley did in this particular campaign, this race. I did not peg her as getting 20%. I was thinking more like 15. And I suspect there was some Democrats who decided to switch their registration and take a vote there, because that's some of the reporting was coming out that was actually happening.
Some shenanigans going on?
Some shenanigans. Well, I mean,
it's legal.
It's legal.
It is.
It's legal. Moral, maybe not. But what do you make of Nikki Haley's increasing, comfort with, her campaign talking about their Democratic support?
So there's two things to that. I agree with you, Gabe. My thought, before everything shook out, was that it was going to be perhaps, that Trump would probably win it, that DeSantis may kind of come in a not too distant second, let's say,
right.
And that Haley would trail maybe in the mid-teens, and the fact that she was only 2 points behind DeSantis, and this is a little surprising. Although when you look at the one county that she won, and you look at where the bulk of her votes came from, they're from the urban areas of Iowa, and that's what you would expect, whether those are moderate Republicans or Democrats crossing over. Now, I do think there probably was some of that, because I think that there is a sense among, some of it could be like Operation Chaos, like intentionally trying to muck things up, but some of it could be genuinely thinking, hey, she maybe has the best shot of heading off Trump at the pass, so I'm going to support her, because I know moderate Democrats who would possibly vote for her against Joe Biden.
Yep. Yeah, and also, it's not like Democrats have anything else to do right now. The Democrats decided not to play in Iowa.
Right.
They decided to skip it as well. Okay, so Ron DeSantis, his quote was, "We punched our ticket out of Iowa, staying in." He and Nikki Haley heading up to New Hampshire. New Hampshire is a very different voting bloc. Obviously South Carolina, she was governor there. But when you look at Ron DeSantis, where does he go from here? Because you say 51% to 21%. Well, that's a massive win for Trump, which it is. That's a 30-point spread. But 20 delegates to 8 delegates doesn't seem so insurmountable as you head into the next round.
Right. It's a numbers game, and the DeSantis camp has always focused on that, which is why I think that they did focus so heavily on Iowa, because they know this is a state-by-state thing. It's not a national thing, and you have to be strategic about it. So you have to recognize that, okay, each state has a set of delegates, and each state has rules as to how they are split up and apportioned. So you have to kind of play the game differently in each location. He's got a very tall order in New Hampshire, because that's just not his voting bloc naturally, and the people that do kind of gravitate towards him are gravitating primarily towards Trump first. So right now the polling, I think, has him in single digits in New Hampshire, and I don't think it would be surprising for that to be the end result of that. But, he could make a decent showing in South Carolina. I think at this point it's one of those things where he has to see it through, and I think both he and Haley feel like they have to see it through, because there's always that nagging, what if something crazy happens to Trump?
Yeah.
Clearly trying to incarcerate him and send him to jail for 80,000 years isn't doing it, but you never know. A meteor could drop out of the sky tomorrow, and whoever's left standing may be the one that has to step up. So I think that there is a certain logic to staying in at this point, but how far that goes if this continues on this trend, that's a good question.
So, Susie, speaking of Trump, I've been watching what's been going on the last couple of months, maybe 3 or 4 months, and it seems to me as though he has become more, this isn't the right word, conciliatory, but friendlier maybe in his interactions. And then the speech last night, his victory speech, he was very calm, collected, gave congratulations, gave accolades in a sense to Ron and Nikki. And so I'm wondering, have we seen him turn the page and become a more friendlier version of Trump in order to try to pull in folks who would not have normally thought about voting for him in the future?
Possibly. Now, if for some reason Haley were to win New Hampshire, I suspect that we might see less of that conciliatory attitude toward her. He was, I will say this, people don't often use the word gracious in conjunction with Donald Trump, but his speech last night was gracious in terms of his competitors, even to Vivek, who he kind of threw down with over the weekend. So, but that's always been his way. He's very push-pull. When he feels like he needs to do battle with you, you are the worst person on earth, and he is going to step on you and grind you into the ground. And once that's over, he's like handing you, sticking out his hand and saying, "Oh, come on, buddy, let's go do this."
Yeah, he's conciliatory when he wins.
Exactly. And that can be a little just, I guess it's disconcerting or confusing sometimes to recognize it until you realize that's how he does.
It is. All right, Susie Moore, redstate.com is where you're going to find all the coverage. Susie, thanks so much.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
We got that News Talk STL News Roundup coming your way in about 2 minutes and 28 seconds right here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Like and subscribe to us on Rumble. News Talk STL. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Speech is alive and well in America.
Thanks for taking my call.
Right here.
My point about the governor there, it is absolutely about power.
I read this, I almost fell out of my chair.
News Talk STL.
This thing is just absolutely dripping with iron.
News, analysis, opinion.
Is your family prepared for the financial burden of losing a loved one?
Are you aware of the cost of a funeral?
Benjamin Schaefer with Senior Memorial could help you qualify for lifetime permanent final expense insurance coverage with no medical exam required.
Just answer a few health questions, and once accepted, your rates never increase.
Do you have diabetes? High blood pressure?
Have you had a heart attack? A stroke?
No problem.
Benjamin Schaefer with Senior Memorial can help protect your legacy.
Call or text 314-866-8886. That's 314-866-8886.
To learn more about permanent lifetime final expense insurance coverage.
Benjamin Schaefer with Senior Memorial could help you qualify for immediate coverage by answering just a few health questions.
Call or text 314-866-8886 or learn more at memorialplans.com. That's memorialplans.com.
Policies underwritten by Senior Life Insurance Company. Not available in all states.
Here's a great way to save money on your prescription medications. If you take Viagra or Cialis, we can give you a way to pay as little as $2 a pill. Compare that to prices as high as $60 per tablet. These pills work for men and women to improve their sexual performance. And now for the price of 2 or 3 pills, you can get nearly 100. There's no need to pay expensive prices for Viagra or Cialis. Call now with your prescription and pay as little as $2 a pill. We offer 24/7 service and always free delivery and confidential packaging. Change your life for the better and have fun. Call Pharmacy Shop 24/7 to get generic versions of Viagra or Cialis for as little as $2 a pill, plus free discreet shipping.
800-631-2030. 800-631-2030. 800-631-2030. That's 800-631-2030.
I heard the call to serve, so I answered. I earned a title and discovered my purpose. I found belonging, an unbreakable bond with my fellow Marines. We fought to overcome adversity together in defense of our nation and its people. I've lived a full life, rich with meaning. And even though I no longer wear the uniform, I am still a Marine. My service has come full circle. I will always look after those around me. I will always uplift and support my country and my community. Because that is the promise I made. That is what it means to be a Marine. Semper Fidelis. Always faithful, always Marine.
This news update brought to you by Anton's Plumbing and HVAC. Call Anton's at 314-338-3941 or visit them at antonshvac.com.
Hi, it's Randy Tobler here. Pour a big cup of coffee and catch my show every Saturday morning from 6 to 9. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning here on News Talk STL.
Okay, Stell, there's a story we're going to get to here in a little bit that I just absolutely love.
I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, because it's a follow-up to what kind of fired people up the other day. And
including us.
Including us, especially us. And the people who disagreed with us, too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the people, or, disagreed with me, and I think all of us had the same opinion. So the good guys get a win here. City Hall decides to back down and not punish a church that's protecting people from the elements. Okay, I'm going to go off script here for a second.
Okay.
Who's the last one in here at night that uses this station right here? Because they're deaf.
Got to turn down the headphones. Holy crap.
I think it's Tim.
Tim.
I think
My
so.
Goodness. Okay. Anyway, also, could Anthony Fauci actually be brought to justice for his lies?
I don't remember any lies.
Yeah. Jeez. The answer is maybe. Also, the Blues, man, they're drawing blood today, but I'm not talking about the old-fashioned enforcers on the ice.
Okay.
Get to that here in just a minute. It is 5:51 right now. I'm Mike. They don't have enforcers anymore.
I don't
Really.
think so.
Not the way they used to.
I remember the Red Wings had a couple guys who were enforcers, and the Hawks had a couple.
The Hawks were kind of infamous for it.
Yeah.
But, yeah, they don't really have enforcers anymore in the NHL.
I don't think so.
Pro sports are trying to make everything nice and less contact, instead of old school and gritty.
Because people go to hockey games to see a little fight action.
Nobody goes to get a beer when a fight breaks out at a hockey game.
That's true.
It just doesn't happen. All right, quick note here. We're going to get a short break from the extreme cold, so a little bit of good news there. Temperatures are going to be in the mid-30s today, which seems almost balmy, and also tomorrow, mid-30s tomorrow. So get your errands done then, today and tomorrow. Get your errands done today. You may want to run out and get an tire pressure check.
Good idea.
I think almost everybody is dealing with the lower air pressure because of the frigid temperatures. I would go get that done next day or so. Next week, it looks like we're going to be more normal, but over the weekend, we're going to be back in the single digits for the low temperatures before next week. By the end of next week, it's going to be in the upper 40s, according to the current long-range forecast.
By the way, another winter storm system coming through because they need more nicknames for him. It's Indigo. That's the one scheduled for midweek next week.
We're naming...
Yes. The current one was Finn, Finn.
Oh, like the Irish name, Finn.
Yes. That's the one that just came through.
I understand hurricanes, but we're naming winter weather now?
Because they have nothing better to do.
No kidding. Oh, my goodness. Okay, well, whatever. You do you meteorological types, whatever. Okay, U.S. House of Representatives delaying their plans to hold Hunter Biden in contempt of Congress. So I'm not saying they're not going to do it. They're just not doing it right now. What's happening right now is both Republicans and Democrats are trying to negotiate a deal. So Democrats are going to the table to negotiate something to protect Hunter Biden, and they're trying to get a deal that would involve the president's son coming in to testify when they're negotiating. So somebody's trying to negotiate on his terms. So they're trying to figure that out. Congressman Andy Biggs, Republican out of Arizona, was on Fox Business Network's The Evening Edit. He says, he really wants to get this done because he's got a lot of questions still.
I want to know why they have so many shell corporations, why grandkids were getting money. I also want to know, quite frankly, I want his phone records, and I would like to know who he called from Dubai from that hotel when the CEO of Burisma asked him.
And of course, the White House's response, because this going after Hunter Biden is really a way. I mean, let's be honest about what it is. It's a way to try to go after Joe Biden. If the Republicans thought for a second that all of the criminal activity was just Hunter and nobody else was involved, Congress would not be involved in this. It's because they believe there's evidence that links it to Joe Biden. That's why members of Congress are so intent on this. Okay, speaking of other scoundrels, Senator Rand Paul wants former U.S. Chief Medical Advisor Anthony Fauci, to be clear, Anthony Fauci is the scoundrel, not Rand Paul. Mm-hmm. But Rand Paul wants Fauci to be behind bars, wants him in jail over Fauci's dishonesty in handling the COVID-19 situation and for lying to Congress, which we now know that he did. Has been confirmed. We knew it then, but it's been confirmed. Paul also said in an interview on the Ingram Angle on Fox that he's got some real problems with a recent testimony by Anthony Fauci in a House Pandemic Subcommittee hearing.
Everything they blamed the right on, vaccine hesitancy, not trusting government officials, the loss of trust in government, I told them over and over again, and I still continue to tell them, it is at their feet.
Whenever Anthony Fauci is called to testify in front of a Senate committee and Rand Paul's there, get the popcorn.
Yes, indeed. I love Rand.
Oh, I do too.
Man.
He's one of my favorites. It may be my favorite in the Senate. Of course, the Kentucky Republican Rand Paul continues to accuse of Anthony Fauci. See, the copy here says the Kentucky Republican repeatedly has accused the infectious disease expert.
See?
Yeah.
Let's spin it.
That's spin. And this is from Fox. And, of course, we know that Anthony Fauci and Francis Collins.
Oh, yeah. When he was before the committee.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Collins and other things has just come out and said, we didn't have the information. We were making it up.
Yes,
We
exactly.
had nothing. And now Fauci is being forced into admitting some of that as well after saying over and over and over and over again, no, you're lying. This is the truth. This is science. You're trying to kill people. So that's where that is. Okay, we're going to get into this in more depth in a little bit here. I love this. Edwardsville's City Hall backs down. I guess they figured out that threatening a church while that church is sheltering vulnerable people from life-threatening freezing temperatures is kind of a bad look.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, imagine that. So the city has suspended the citations issued against First Baptist Church. As a result, they've canceled the $750 daily fines that they were levying against them that they were trying to impose. The court date that was scheduled for tomorrow, they wanted to drag the church into municipal court. That's been called off as well. More details on that in just a little bit. Okay, the Blues are hosting their annual blood drive today. They're not playing. They don't play tomorrow. But they are hosting a blood drive today. This is their 17th annual blood drive. There are 10 locations around the metro area, both sides of the state line, that are accepting donations from noon to 6. Now, if you want to donate at the Enterprise Center, be a little closer to your team, you can do that from 9:30 until 2:30. Get more information at the Blues website and the social media pages. I've got a list of where these are, so if you got a particular part of town you want to know about, just shoot me a note on Rumble or one of the other social media channels, and I'll try to direct you to the nearest one. Just ahead, the government tilting the internet.
When you go shopping, you may not get the bargain you want, but at least you know and can compare prices. It should be that way with healthcare, but too often it's not. Need an operation on your knee? Want to know what it's going to cost? Good luck. For 3 years, hospitals have been required to provide patients with list prices and have negotiated charges for some 300 services. Only 36%, just over a third, are fully compliant. In Missouri, prices differ greatly depending on a patient's insurance. The cost of a pelvic CT scan, for example, can be 20 times more expensive in one hospital than another. Price transparency allows patients to compare providers, forces hospitals to compete on price, and helps insurers negotiate lower rates. State law should require all healthcare providers to publish prices in a user-friendly form. What we don't know is costing us. The price of healthcare shouldn't be a secret. Check out our 2024 blueprint, Moving Missouri Forward at ShowMeInstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss as part of our lineup every week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 3 times every weekend on News Talk STL. And in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Jason Walker. All eyes now on New Hampshire's primary next week on the 23rd. Donald Trump holding a rally with Vivek Ramaswamy in Atkinson, New Hampshire, one day after winning in Iowa. Ramaswamy dropped out and has now endorsed Mr. Trump. The former president says one rival is counting on independents to win.
Nikki Haley, in particular, is counting on the Democrats and liberals to infiltrate your Republican primary. You know that. That's what's happening.
And he says his supporters should ignore his really large lead in the polls.
Don't believe the polls. Or even if you think we're 1 point down. We're not. We're like 30 points up. But don't believe me. You have to get out and you have to vote.
Also at townhall.com, the White House says stopping the Houthi Red Sea attacks is a major problem. Here's White House correspondent Greg Clugston.
National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan says the ongoing threat by Yemen's Houthi rebels to commercial vessels in the Red Sea was an all-hands-on-deck problem that the U.S. and allies must address together to minimize impact on the global economy. His comments on Tuesday came as the U.S. launched a new strike against the Houthis, the third assault on the Iranian-backed group in recent days. The rebel attacks have already caused significant disruptions to global trade. Greg Clugston, Washington.
A major shipment of medicine and aid for dozens of hostages still held by Hamas is going to Gaza. France and Qatar are arranging the delivery by brokering the first agreement between Israel and the militant group since a week-long ceasefire in November. That deal also includes the delivery of a number of additional forms of medicine. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Relief Factor, pain relief that's natural, pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at relieffactor.com and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. Relieffactor.com, relieffactor.com. Be the next success story.
The Dinesh D'Souza Podcast, now available on the Salem Podcast Network.
For the left, it's generally you open a door, and then if you notice that no one is pushing back to shut the door, you go right through it, and then you kick in the next door. If we offer no resistance, our past will basically be nothing more than a series of leftist incidents designed to overcome our past.
Subscribe to the Dinesh D'Souza Podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, YouTube, Rumble, or at SalemPodcastNetwork.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Well, the Bahamas it is not, but we're trending in a warmer direction. Another cold start, but we'll do some melting this afternoon. Temperatures climb to 38 under mostly sunny skies. Down to 23 tonight. Let's keep an eye out for a few flurries or light snow overnight. Doesn't look like much, but I can't rule out some slick spots tomorrow morning. Then the daylight hours Thursday are dry. We bounce back into the mid-30s. Another chance of light snow Thursday night into Friday morning, and then temperatures crash hard on Friday. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Investment advisory services offered through OWLFI LLC, a SEC registered investment advisor. Insurance and education services offered through Serenity Wealth Management.
Are you or someone you know providing or managing care for a loved one today? Did you know there could be more cost-efficient solutions for funding long-term care, even those currently living in a skilled care facility today? Financial strategist and long-term care specialist Chris Cooper of Serenity Wealth Management can show you tax-efficient strategies available to help your family manage care concerns. Whether planning for the future or managing care for a loved one today, solutions exist to provide the financial peace of mind you deserve.
Hi, I'm Chris Cooper, and I'd love to send you a free copy of my new book, A CPA's Guide to Tax-Free Strategies for Long-Term Care. You'll learn about strategies to empower you and your family, protect your savings, and make sure your loved ones get the quality of care they deserve.
Request your free copy of Chris's book by visiting SerenityLTC.com. That's SerenityLTC.com.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Big show today, 4:05, Sam Sobro on homeschooling. 4:20, Karen Fessler gives us an update on Iowa. And at 5:05, James Carter of the America First Policy Institute.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson.
It's a miracle we're not in prison.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
Are you kidding me?
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm? Get up, St. Louis.
Yeah, it's kind of a thing.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up! Get up! This is your cousin.
A lot of people look at government when it comes to regulations as the referee. You're supposed to keep things fair. You're supposed to allow competition to happen. But what happens if government picks a side? You want to use another cliche, tilts the scale and maybe becomes more of an activist. Well, when you're talking about the internet, you're talking about anything online, that could have massive ramifications. And that's what one of the government agencies at the federal level is being accused of doing. How could this affect your life? We're about to find out. I'm Mike Ferguson. I'm now joined by Tom Schatz from Citizens Against Government Waste. And Tom, appreciate you being back on the program here. We're talking about the FCC. We're talking about the internet. So we're talking about stuff that affects every aspect of our lives. A lot of this kind of in the weeds details gets past people's radar in this hyper partisan charged environment that we're in. But what is it that the FCC is trying to do that could make such a difference, not just politically, but in so many other areas?
Well, let's start out with what people are getting from the internet. The United States has the fastest, they have really the best. Private sector has invested $2.1 trillion toward broadband deployment since 1996. In 2022 alone, $102.4 billion, which was a record amount. So they're doing a good job. Now, you may complain about connections once in a while, but during the pandemic, no country around the world did a better job of keeping people connected with unprecedented connections and for business and home and school than the United States. So there's really been nothing wrong. But the Biden administration, once they got a 3-2 majority on the Federal Communications Commission, which has traditionally been pretty bipartisan, decided that it was time to go back to some of the policies that they had during the Obama-Biden administration, starting with what's called net neutrality. And on top of that, they added a new regulation on what they're calling digital discrimination. So yes, it's a little bit in the weeds, but the outcome of this will be less investment, more regulations. It'll be harder to access information online. And the liability under this digital discrimination rule is so expansive that it even covers a landlord or a bank or state and local government. Unprecedented use of power by this administration.
So how are they defining digital discrimination? I mean, the reaction for a lot of people is, well, I don't want anybody discriminated against. I want people to have had access to what everybody else does online. But from the Biden administration perspective, what is digital discrimination? And then we can get into the administrative execution of these rules that they're proposing.
Right. So in the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, there was a simple statement saying they wanted the Federal Communications Commission to determine whether digital discrimination existed. It was literally a one-page authorization, and they came up with 218 pages of regulations. And that was after they found initially that there was no evidence of digital discrimination. And if you think about it, it makes sense, because when somebody provides access to the internet, it's for the entire community. You don't pick and choose which homes you connect. You connect everyone who wants that service. So there's really never been an issue, and a lot of this is, of course, state and local government decision as well. But yet the FCC went, I wouldn't even call it overboard. They jumped in with all feet and everything else they could do, and just set this huge and sweeping regulation that would cover more than just internet service providers and force them to provide information. And even if you don't do anything, you might be guilty of discrimination. And that's undoing every aspect of discrimination over the years. You have to show that it exists. In this case, you just have to show that you think it might exist.
We're visiting with Tom Schatz from Citizens Against Government Waste. And so from there, I know a lot of the accusations, and there's a number of conservative and free market groups that have signed on to a letter saying, hey, this could allow one side, the left in this case, to have a big advantage in the digital space. How does that connect with what could happen if government is basically picking and choosing who's got access, who doesn't, who wins, who's discriminating, who's not, because it's also complicated?
Right. So there was a letter on December 13th signed by Citizens Against Government Waste, headed up by our friends at Americans for Tax Reform, about 24 groups that pointed this out to members of Congress, saying that they had gone overboard at the FCC, and Congress needs to do something about it, that it exceeded their authority. And so traditionally, it's disparate treatment. In other words, you're treating people differently based on race, religion, sex, whatever it might be. Now they're talking about a disparate impact. It's like the argument about equity and equitable, where equity then becomes something that changes how the government decides what to do. So it's not the same way they've enforced civil rights law over the years. So the FCC gave itself the power to regulate network deployment, reliability, upgrades, maintenance, equipment, installation. It's a long, long list, mandatory arbitration, discounts, way beyond what they had traditionally been regulating at the FCC. And the other part of it is that it's so invasive that the $42 billion that's been appropriated and provided for the Broadband Equity Access and Deployment Program across the states, they're not going to want to participate because it's going to be impossible to get things done.
Tom, I've got a couple minutes left here. We're visiting with Tom Schatz from Citizens Against Government Waste. Once again, if I just want to get my news, on my Twitter feed or my social media feed, or I just want to go to my favorite news websites, or I want to go do whatever I do on the internet, which everybody does, how does this affect me? Or if I've got a small business and I want to go online, how would these rules actually affect me?
Well, because it, again, covers so many new areas of everything. I mean, it covers different industries that it had never covered before. There was a letter from the Senate Republicans on the Commerce, Science, and Transportation Committee to the FCC about this as well. And they point out that initially the Biden administration said there is no documented evidence of disparate treatment. It's basically non-existent. And then they changed it. And that's where we are. So yes, it would impact people's access. It would impact what they are able to see, give the government more control. It would basically stifle innovation. There are just so many things that would end up being more costly for these companies, and they would raise prices, I would guess, if they even bother to provide service. But it is really a big problem. At the same time, they're trying to expand broadband deployment, close the digital divide. They're just imposing so many regulations, it's going to be impossible to achieve that objective.
And how does that favor the left and left activists over conservatives or others?
Well, because the ability to sue these companies for failing to comply with the digital discrimination rules is so expansive. It was actually Commissioner Brendan Carr who said that if you do nothing, you're guilty. If you do something, you're guilty. There was a very, very strong dissent to this at the FCC. And so they're just giving the left so much more capability to interfere with providing basically what everybody agrees should occur, which is access to the internet.
All right. And Tom, obviously, let's tell people where they can connect with you as Citizens Against Government Waste to find out, to go deeper into your work on this, but also to follow what you're doing on budgetary issues and everything else.
They can go to cagw.org, again, cagw.org for Citizens Against Government Waste, and see what's happening with your money. And again, while this doesn't seem all that important, it is extremely important not to let the government get involved way beyond its authority in the internet.
Yeah, because it affects every aspect of our lives at this point. You just can't get away from it.
That's it.
All right, Tom, hey, appreciate you being on the program again and giving us the update. We will talk to you very soon, I hope.
Great. Thanks, Mike.
Okay, so the bottom line is that if you run afoul of the federal government or whoever's in charge at that time, whether it's a Democrat or a Republican, under these rules, as I understand them, and as Tom was explaining them, then the partisanship can come in and they can come after you, or your opponents just simply have a massive platform to try to sue you out of existence and tie you up in the courts. Bottom line is that if you want to keep e-commerce free, you want to keep free speech free, you've got to keep the internet free. Got some thoughts on it? Let's talk. 314-912-1019. This is 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Don't try to make me stop. nation, making cold mind to fight your war. Stop it right now. I have had enough of this. Turn my eyes to your indifference. Stop it right now before you blow us all away. You wanna do that? Get up, can't you hear the alarm? Get up, this is your cousin car. Get up, what are you waiting for? Get up.
Hello, my name is Chad Clayman with Clayman Group, where you can find us online at claymangroup.com, KLAMEN group.com. Do you have a house that you'd like to sell as is and not deal with the market? Maybe you have a tenant not paying the rent or a house in disrepair and you want a simple solution for your sale? We've been in business for over 88 years and we've helped thousands of people sell their house in as-is condition with no middleman involved. Reach out today at claymangroup.com, KLAMEN group.com, and receive an offer today.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
This is Ben. Hi, Ben. We got a serious issue in Chicago. Immigrants coming into their community. It could be making its way down here. They're talking about 17,000 migrants from Venezuela moving to Chicago. I've been a Democrat my whole life, and since October 7th, everything going on, I don't know how this is values for everybody. The people who have already been working hard and trying to build a life for themselves here.
Vic Porcelli, weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL. Get charged up on the truth. Power Punch with Larry Behrens.
Everyone's talking about the $6 billion Joe Biden sent to Iran just about a month ago. As well they should be. But did you know he has opened up the money flow to Tehran for well over a year? He doesn't want to talk about it, but we will.
Power Punch with Larry Behrens. Saturday afternoons at 4 on News Talk STL.
Get more Power Punch at powerthefuture.com.
I'm Susie Moore, and this is More to the Point.
In case you're unaware, it's cold in most of the U.S. right now. Like, cold. Here in St. Louis, we've had sub-zero lows and barely above zero highs on a couple of days. It's not the kind of cold you can enjoy, it's the kind of cold you endure while you anxiously look forward to journeys back above the freezing mark. I mean, it's winter. It's supposed to be cold. Which is all well and good, as long as you don't have an electric vehicle in need of a charge. Unfortunately, EV owners in and around Chicago found that out the hard way. It seems the charging stations are just like many of us. They don't like the bitter cold either. Not only that, they don't work in the bitter cold. Instead, they freeze over, making it next to impossible to recharge your EV's battery. Imagine being one of us old school folks who still drives a gas-powered vehicle and pulling up to a gas station when it's 2 degrees out and your tank is almost empty, only to have the gas pumps just not work because they're too cold. No gas for you. What do? As one frustrated driver said of the abandoned cars packing the parking lot of a supercharging station, "We got a bunch of dead robots out here." And guess where dead robots get you? Nowhere.
Susie Moore is Deputy Managing Editor for RedState.com. For more to the point and everything Susie Moore, log on to RedState.com. Follow Susie on Twitter at SmoozyQ and keep listening to 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL. This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at Stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Bill O'Reilly here. Check out the O'Reilly Update this afternoon at 3:45. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
All right, City Hall gives up and decides to not punish a church for the municipal infraction of helping those in need of shelter from the cold.
Victory!
Yes. So we'll get to that in just a minute here. Woo! And even bigger than that is the way that this church did it.
It was perfect.
They did it right.
Yes.
Yep, we'll get into that. Also, we're looking ahead to the next round of primary and caucus votes coming up, obviously, in New Hampshire next week.
Mm-hmm.
I want to do something a little bit different, though, and something that very well could get me in trouble again. I want to know how you want to talk about the presidential race at 6:35.
Yeah, is it a little peel back the curtain moment? I think
a little bit.
We're
Yeah,
gonna be doing
I mean,
here.
let's just kind of do. I told you guys. I said let's just do the keeping it real thing inside here because we don't all agree in here on everything on the presidential race and but on social media and the phone calls. Let's talk about how we're going to talk about it.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of pretension in anything that's politics. There's a lot of sacred cows. Especially around Donald Trump.
Yeah.
There's a lot that you're just not supposed to say in conservative media. And so let's talk about talking about it because we all get warned, hey, don't make this candidate's base mad. Don't make that candidate's base mad. Well, how about we just talk about it in a real sense?
Right.
So I think we're all grown up enough to do that.
I think so,
Let's
too.
do that at 6:35. I think it's going to be interesting. Okay, a few things happening in the news here. We are getting a break from the extreme cold just for day and a half, 2 days or so. Then it's going to get single digits again, and then next week it's going to be warmer again, and then still, I guess we've got another winter storm.
And then Indigo shows up.
Then Indigo, the winter storm, shows up.
Winter storm Indigo.
Winter storm Indigo.
Okay,
we're into the eyes already.
Wow.
Now, I think you mentioned this still just like in passing the other day, that up farther north than us, it's been so cold that a lot of people who have the electric vehicles, Teslas and some others, they found that they couldn't drive.
Yeah, that was my wife's hybrid.
That's
was one of
what
those.
it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so get this. Here is from basically grabbed from a variety of like TV news stuff in the Chicago area. Here's a few people who own Teslas, and then you're going to hear a guy from named Mark Bilek from the Chicago Auto Trade Association saying, well, here's just what you got to do. But here's how dependable your electric vehicles are.
No juice, it's still on 0%, and this is like 3 hours this morning being out here, after being out here 8 hours yesterday.
Man, this is crazy. It's a disaster, seriously.
We got a bunch of dead robots out here.
It's not plug and go. You have to precondition the battery, meaning that you have to get the battery up to the optimal temperature to accept the fast charge.
Yep. That's right. Because the thing is, batteries are, they operate on a chemical process themselves, and it's very temperature sensitive as opposed to internal combustion, which has less of a susceptibility to this.
Right. I say you could have a dead battery in the cold with a traditional regular engine, but typically if that happens, your battery, wasn't it kind of running down to start with?
Well, yeah, typically so. And the thing is, the demand on the battery is completely different in a regular internal combustion engine. You're just trying to get the starter going, as opposed to with a Tesla, where it is your engine.
Right.
It's trying to move your 3,000-pound vehicle down the road, and if it decides it doesn't have the charge to do it, doesn't have the juice, it doesn't have the juice.
And I've heard numerous stories over the past couple of weeks of folks who were stuck somewhere. They had to try to get help because their car's power was gone. And what happens? Tesla has to send a vehicle out, and then they put it on their tow truck, take it to the next charging station. And by the way, that emergency vehicle is gasoline powered.
Yeah, that's a diesel tow truck.
Yeah.
Just the irony of the whole thing makes you sit back and wonder what is going on. And on top of that, I had mentioned to Mike earlier, Gabe, that Hertz sold off 20,000 of their electric vehicles in the last week or so because they need to purchase some vehicles that people actually want to rent.
That's the market. I mean, when I rent
speaking.
cars, like in March, I'm going to go play in another ball tournament. I'm going to have to rent a car. And you always have the option. Do you want an EV? No, I don't want an EV. Absolutely not. This is what happens when you try to mess with or put your hand on the scale of the free market. What happens is you get stuff pushed that the market doesn't want because the product isn't ready. And then the way that these have been shoved at us has, frankly, probably set back the effort to have electric vehicles. And the funny part is like, where do you think the electricity comes from when you're trying to put an electric vehicle on the road to get rid of fossil fuel powered anything? Where do you think what's the fuel for the electric vehicle?
It's so silly.
It's coal mines.
It's always so silly when you really get down to nitty gritty. And then, of course, let's not even talk about the amount of energy spent on mining the rare earth minerals required to put the battery together in the first place. Back in the day when we were just starting to get into internal combustion engines and cars and all these other things, it was all the markets were very, very small. They were all basically test markets. And when a problem arose, hey, I can't get traction in the mud when it was really rainy, then you had to come up with an innovative solution to get around that. But you're only inconveniencing like 6 guys who bought the
they had to go get the horses to pull the cart.
And they had to go get the horses to pull the cart out, as opposed to the government saying, okay, 20,000 of these must go out now.
Yeah. And if you don't sell enough of these, you're not going to be allowed to sell others because you're going to have mandates on what percentages you sell. And they're putting those in place in some areas on car dealers that a certain percentage must be electric vehicle sales. And auto dealers are going, what do you want me to do? Club somebody until they buy an electric vehicle? We can't make them buy it, and the market doesn't want them. I've got friends who have Teslas. You know, a couple of them really, they bought them truly for ideological reasons. Others, they like the gas mileage. Now I think some people are going.
And the cool factor.
And to some people, my daughter had a hybrid. She had a Prius for a little while, had nothing but problems with it. She got rid of it, and she drives a Jeep now.
The other thing that really ticked me off was a smart-ass media like The Verge, which had the story on Hertz, and they titled it as Hertz selling these vehicles in order to buy gas guzzlers.
Oh, gosh.
That's how you spin in the caption, and then you read the story, and you realize, oh, it's just a company trying to stay in business.
Gas guzzlers. Okay, so what they decided to do is buy 1987 Broncos with extra wheels. No, gosh, no. You're just buying regular cars, which we're probably getting like 35 miles per gallon at this point.
I've got a medium-sized SUV. Okay, so when I drove down to Florida and back in October to play in that other ball tournament, you know what my gas mileage was on the highway?
What's that?
It was about 31, 32 miles to the gallon. At one point, I was up to like 34. Pretty good.
Yeah,
pretty good.
It's very good.
So it's a whole lot better than the sedans that I drove in the 80s and 90s, and even early 2000s.
Yeah, I mean, we've been stretching the technology for a while now. We can get there from here. Just leave us alone while we do it.
Exactly. All right, other news here real quick. Former Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson drops out of the GOP presidential race. Okay. All right. Well, all right. Okay. In other news, all right. Edwardsville City Hall. We talked about this the other day. They went after First Baptist Church, which set up an overnight warming location. Overnight warming. OWL. Yeah. Because I say there's like a Facebook pages for overnight warming locations.
Right.
So if the temperature is below 20 degrees. People could come in overnight, but they weren't staying during the day. You couldn't stay. You couldn't take residence there.
Right.
It's just if you were at risk of being hurt or killed, you could come in and sleep on a cot in their gym.
And it's based on the weather for that period.
Right. Below 20 degrees.
Right.
So 22 degrees, they're not opening this thing. And that's what they decided to do. And City Hall tried to shut them down, ordered them to shut down because they didn't file out the permit paperwork. And we're fining them $750 a day, and they had ordered First Baptist Church to send somebody to appear in court tomorrow. So we talked about it. I know some other media talked about it. And apparently City Hall has had a change of heart.
Oh, really?
They have backed off completely. Yep.
Get out of here.
Our studio audience agrees.
That's right. So in a press release, Mayor, and I'm looking at Channel 4's coverage, in a press release, Mayor Art Rizavy, and I apologize if I said that wrong, R-I-S-A-V-Y, he said, and I'm quoting him here, Gabe, he said, "It was never our intent to prevent it from operating, particularly at a time of such dangerous weather conditions. The city's concern was only that the facility was safe for the people staying there and volunteering there." Does anybody think that's not disingenuous?
They were making that up. That's not your actual concern. The actual concern is you wanted your paperwork and you wanted your fee or whatever that goes along with it.
And you wanted the power to say, I'm going to remind you that we're the ones in charge, that you are subservient to us. And so here's the thing. There's the immediate result of this, and that is simply that people in need had a place to stay last night. Yeah. They had a cot to sleep on. They had a blanket over them. Probably had, a dinner. They had something. And by the way, these aren't all homeless people. There are people who just live in homes that can't keep up with this kind of temperatures.
Right.
I have lived in homes like that in the past. Believe me, I've been poor. I've been broke. I've been there. And so one of the reasons I think it fires me up. But here's the other thing on this is that the way the church did this.
It was perfect.
It was. They just simply basically said, We're not going to participate in this. We have a ministry to run. These people are in need. We're going to do it. We're not asking your permission.
Yeah, basically the government said, thou shalt do this. And the church responded, no, thank you.
Yeah.
And then eventually the government said, fine.
Yeah.
It was the most polite insurrection ever. It's like it wasn't a, it's like, they'll never take our freedom. They didn't have to go that way.
They didn't
all they had to do was say, no, thank you, government.
They literally said we chose not to participate in that.
We chose not to participate.
So what they did is they kept the government in line, which is the way it's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
We keep government in line instead of valuing government keeping churches in line, especially when those churches are trying to help people. Now, listen, if they decided they were going to build a ramshackle homeless shelter, I get it. I said, then you got other issues here.
Mm-hmm.
They simply said, we've got space, we've got a gym, it's cold, we're going to let people stay here to be safe.
Right. I think in protecting the rule of law, we also have to remember the spirit of the law.
Correct.
Right. What's the point of legal requirements for things and getting the government involved in any of this?
And the other aspect of this was reminding government from time to time, especially the bureaucrats, reminding them, you do not have unlimited authority. We are not based on all of us are subservient to government. We talk about big government at the federal level. We just heard from Tom Schatz from Citizens Against Government Waste about the big picture stuff with the government being controlled by the internet being controlled by the government. Well, that happens here too. When government's out of line, you hold them accountable. And that's what happened here. Instead of saying, oh goodness, we can't challenge government, they challenged it and they got the immediate needs met, and then they had the bigger picture, which tells me the people in Edwardsville had to be lighting up City Hall saying, what
absolutely.
are you doing? Are you out of your mind?
Political power is absolutely a zero-sum game. The bigger the government, the lesser the people. People push back when the government tries to take your stuff.
It's we the people.
Absolutely.
It's not we the government?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, we the people. All right, speaking of that, all right, let's just kind of have a grown-up conversation here. We've got the primaries, caucus season in full effect. This is a weird one with weird dynamics with, obviously things are different with a Donald Trump as a candidate, and then obviously with Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis. But let's talk about how we're going to talk about it. And I want to know what you think. 314-912-1019. You can also comment on social media. I may very well get myself in trouble again. Matter of fact, I'm pretty sure I'm going to get myself in trouble again.
Probably.
So we'll do this here, but let's go ahead and take on a few sacred cows and say, let's talk about how we are going to cover the election in a very real way. But that means that you might not like something you hear. That's why we talk about it. Let's do that right around 6:35.
We give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. Only on News Talk STL. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Well, the Bahamas it is not, but we're trending in a warmer direction. Another cold start, but we'll do some melting this afternoon. Temperatures climb to 38 under mostly sunny skies. Down to 23 tonight. Let's keep an eye out for a few flurries or light snow overnight. Doesn't look like much, but I can't rule out some slick spots tomorrow morning. Then the daylight hours Thursday are dry. We bounce back into the mid-30s. Another chance of light snow Thursday night into Friday morning, and then temperatures crash hard on Friday. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
The Herzog Foundation is the vision of its founder, Stanley Herzog, and it exists to promote and accelerate the development of quality Christ-centered K-12 education.
Hi, this is Daryl Jones, president of the Herzog Foundation. Our primary goal is to advance Christian education so that families and culture flourish. The legacy of Stan's business career centers around making national transit ecosystems accessible and sustainable. Likewise, the legacy of Stan's philanthropy centers around making the ecosystems of Christian education more accessible and sustainable for families across the nation. Visit HerzogFoundation.com to learn more about our programs, including trainings, scholarships, conferences, news, and our podcast, Making the Leap.
Visit HerzogFoundation.com to learn more and sign up for The Lion, an initiative of the Herzog Foundation that carries articles covering a wide range of issues facing American families and culture. HerzogFoundation.com.
Hey, it's Tony Colombo. The new year is upon us, and the cleaning pros at Zero Res are starting things off with a bang with what I think is their best offer ever. Book a cleaning in January and mention the Colombo special, and you'll get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $119, plus you can take $50 off an air duct cleaning. We trust Zero Res with our home, and after you take advantage of this amazing special, you will too. Just remember to mention the Colombo special when you call 314-474-2020 or book online at ZeroResSTL.com.
If you find yourself feeling out of place in the world, it's comforting to know conservative values haven't been abandoned everywhere.
Thanks for being my voice in all this.
This is News Talk STL.
There are people out there that feel the way that I feel and say what I say.
Welcome home.
Hi, it's Dan Bongino here, and I'm proud to be on News Talk STL every weekday from 11 to 2. Right now, you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Okay, by this time next week, we're going to know who won the New Hampshire primary. I mean, today, 1 week from today, we're doing the recap of New Hampshire to see what happened there. The polling there, if you're, because as Susie Moore pointed out yesterday, the polling was close in Iowa.
Yeah.
At least a couple of them.
Yeah, you got to hit the right polls, but still.
So what those same polls are saying right now is that it's neck and neck between Donald Trump and Nikki Haley in New Hampshire, with Ron DeSantis way behind in New Hampshire.
Right.
Now, other states, different story. But in that particular state, that's what the dynamics are. So you're actually seeing Donald Trump spending more time in New Hampshire because it's possible he could lose New Hampshire.
That's possible, yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to know what's going to happen there. So let's talk about how we're going to talk about it and what you want to hear. And I'm not even talking about just around the room here. I'm talking about everybody else as well.
Yeah, yeah.
By the way, News Talk STL, we got the social media, and we know that a lot of people are looking at our pages. Don't just look at them. Like them and follow them, please.
Yes, please.
And share them.
Hit the buttons.
Hit the buttons.
There are lots of buttons there. You
Yes.
just hit those.
Like them, follow them. Then when you see it, please share them as well. That's how we amplify your voice.
Yes.
In this.
Because
you're part of this community.
Oh, yeah.
And besides, if you follow social media, you may find out about stuff that's going on here at the radio station.
That's right.
Like maybe a new radio show.
Like,
Ooh.
yes.
That's possible.
That announcement has been made.
Oh, okay.
On the social media and on the website. I will tell you later because I want you to go to social media and see it yourself.
That's fine.
6:37 right now. Okay. Next week is New Hampshire. 2 weeks after that, 2 weeks from now. Next week, New Hampshire. 2 weeks down the road, Nevada and South Carolina. We're going to keep you up to date on what's happening on the campaign trail, but I also want to know how you want to talk about it because I'm kind of at a point where in my career where what I don't want to do is just play the games.
Right.
And I'm going to go through some of the games that we play here. And some of it's pulling back the curtain. Some of it's what we get accused of by all different sides. And some of those accusations are true.
True.
Which
Yes.
I'm not supposed to say, which means I'm probably getting myself in trouble here.
Possibly.
Okay. But for instance, one things I will do from time to time is say, hey, here's some clips from the rallies of the candidates. And I'll do that right now. Donald Trump was in New Hampshire again, made his first appearance with Vivek Ramaswamy there to support him. And here's what he had to say.
He ended up very strong. He did a great job. I was actually surprised when he called because he was doing well. And it's an honor to have his endorsement. He's going to be working with us, and he'll be working with us for a long time.
Okay, so, that's a new dynamic in there. Vivek Ramaswamy didn't have huge polling numbers.
No, he never did. He never did. I don't think. Did he ever crack double digits?
No.
Yeah,
He never did.
yeah.
He never did.
But I will give him huge credit for one thing. This is from my perspective. He exposed Nikki Haley because from the beginning, a lot of folks thought, well, she's a great Republican candidate. And no, she's a rhino neocon, and he pointed that out, and he made a lot of folks realize that, oh, she's not quite the person that we all think she is.
Well,
I will give him credit for that.
She's not conservative.
No.
Right. I mean,
but I think a lot of folks thought she was.
Yeah, she's conservative in some areas, and she governed somewhat conservatively in South Carolina, but she's not the hardcore conservative she tried to make herself out.
Not at all.
But that is a good point. I think, as much, trouble as I would have given or I did give Ramaswamy for pulling Nikki's pigtails, as I like to say, during the debates and things like that. I mean, he was a little annoying in some of those. But at the same time, without that prodding, maybe we didn't see some of the cracks in the armor there.
I don't think so.
I don't know. I mean,
the thing that I like is that he said stuff early on that forced forced the other candidates to respond as far as when he was talking about the administrative state. Getting rid of entire departments. I mean, I love that he was able to do that.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Libertarian Party has been doing that for decades, but you don't pay attention to the Libertarian Party because they're not a serious group of people.
They're weird.
I know because I was among them for a long time.
There are some weirdos in like it's funny. There's like 12 normal guys.
Yeah.
And then the rest of them are weirdos. And you're like, and you want to say, I mean, Mike was one of the normal guys trying to get some normal guys elected. I mean,
Thanks.
I mean, minus the baseball and the rock stuff.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. But yeah, I mean, it can get weird there. But Ramaswamy had a lot of charisma. Right, that went along with his ability to deliver some of those. I would say very libertarian, positions in terms of the government.
I mean, he ran like a guy who knew he had nothing to lose because he wasn't going to win. So
yes,
you can be as bold as you want.
Yes.
Okay, a couple other sound bites. I want to get this conversation here. Nikki Haley had a rally as well, or a town hall thing as well, and here's part of what she had to say.
We will defund sanctuary cities once and for all. No more safe havens for illegal immigrants.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty
a conservative
standard
position.
Yeah, that's pretty standard Republican position and conservative position as well. Ron, by the way, the debate that was scheduled for tomorrow has been just canceled by ABC.
Okay, so
and,
they just
and the
decided-
local station because nobody else. Ron DeSantis said, "I'm ready to go," and Donald Trump and Nikki Haley are like, "Nope, we're not going to do it." So he was asked about that.
I think that she doesn't want to debate because the last debate that we did together, didn't go well for her. That's just the reality. I understand that.
Okay, so which is true.
I agree with that.
And Ron said, "I'd be great. I'd be more than glad to debate two empty chairs."
Yeah, exactly. I love that.
Okay, so let's go to what's probably going to be a conversation you're not going to hear anywhere else. Okay, and so that's how do we talk about this? Because the reality is that a lot in conservative media are tap dancing around the tension and the awkwardness. Of this. So 314-912-1019. And what I mean by that is let's be honest, conservative media does not cover this race the way it covers others.
Right.
We don't, and it's the Trump factor.
It's definitely the Trump factor.
There are some stations and some shows that they are absolutely 100% MAGA Trump.
Yeah.
I mean, that's Ken and Vic. I mean, they are a MAGA Trump show.
Yeah, which you're allowed to be.
That's fine.
Yeah.
That's their thing. That's what they do.
Yeah.
Around the room here, I mean, I know, Stell, you're a supporter of Trump. I'm not. And I don't hate the guy. But
much.
Yeah. But the thing is that if there is so much of the conservative talk audience that gets angry unless you are 100% on board with a current movement. I've got ideological differences with Donald Trump. He's very populist. I'm very conservative with libertarian leanings. Those are two different things. But why should we not be able to talk about that? So I guess one of the questions I have is in 314-912-1019 or social media comments is, and we'll start around the room here, is, okay, so how do we talk about the race itself? Because and we're warned, and I mean every station, every conservative, the consultants and everybody, they will tell you, don't make this voting block bad.
Right.
Don't you're going to make this candidate's supporters angry if you just critique, even if what you're saying is true. I'm kind of sick of that.
Yeah.
Listen, if we can't be real in our conversations, then why are we having the conversations?
Right. It's a good question. I mean, for me, I'm very much I'm not super pro-Trump. I'm not super anti-Trump. I'm very agnostic about the whole deal, except I do prefer another candidate. I mean, I'm going to vote for a different candidate in the primaries or in the caucus.
Well, caucus. Now it's caucus.
I have to say caucus now. It's like I got to rewrite my brain. But the thing is, I always want to err on the side of being able to critique even my sacred cow.
Right.
So I do prefer the balls and strikes way of doing these things, but the way conservatives, or I should say the way the right side of the conversation has been going, it's been very, very dramatic. And it's like maybe this is the Vulcan side of me coming out, where I'm not particularly emotional about either of these things. I find it fascinating. You know, I raise my eyebrows, like, fascinating. Just everybody gets really, really angry about it. It's like it evokes strong emotions on either side. It's like either you're pro MAGA or you're anti MAGA.
Yeah,
and there's nowhere in between. There's no room for in between. And I see that, you know, creating cracks in the right on in at least on social media in particular. And I don't like it. I wish we could have these conversations a little more smoothly.
I'm not supposed to say that at its center, MAGA is not a particularly conservative movement. Now, there are conservative platforms that Donald Trump has.
Conservative policies. Yeah.
Right. But it's different than the conservative movement. There's overlap. There are conservatives who are MAGA, you know, but the actual movement, if you want to call it that, isn't an ideologically conservative movement. And so you pick and choose the good stuff and the bad stuff. Listen, if the primaries and caucuses were held today, and if he's still in it come March, when the Missouri caucuses, that I will cast my vote for Ron DeSantis. And here's the thing, guys, I just made somebody mad by saying that. I just made somebody mad by saying that.
Yeah.
Because now, like you said, you're against me then.
Right.
You know, why do you hate Trump? I mean, but we can't have real conversations on that because people are so tribal within the tribe.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, because people automatically go to the hate side.
Right.
Oh, then you must hate such and such. No, I just disagree. My viewpoints are different. If there's anything that I think this show personifies, is that three guys from different positions, and I'm independent. I've never registered for a party in all my life. I mean, going back to the 60s, when the first time I would have been able to vote was, I guess, 1970, actually. Well, 68 I was not able to because I was 16. So I guess 72 on a national perspective. But I remember Nixon and Kennedy in 60. I was an 8-year-old kid growing up in Chicago. I know what went on behind the scenes with Mayor Daley and the Democratic Party. That's a story for another day. So I'm independent, but yes, I'm going to vote for Trump because he stands for everything that I personally stand for. And I'm not ashamed to say that. Perfectly fine. But Mike, you and I get along fine.
We get along, and we disagree on a lot of the stuff.
And that's what we want people to understand. You can disagree and still be friends.
What was the name of the caller yesterday who called in and absolutely disagreed with me over the Edwardsville church thing?
Dale?
Dale, right. And Dale called in. I hope Dale's listening right now. And the great thing about that is we disagreed. It didn't really get heated, but it got a little intense. And then he said, I'm really glad that you allow the other perspectives on.
Yeah.
That's what I want. Listen, there are people listening right now who like Nikki Haley.
Yes.
Okay.
That's fine.
You know,
nobody in the room here likes Nikki Haley.
There are things that she says that I agree with.
Well, yeah. We just said that her you know, the quote you just had her say was a conservative position, and we agreed on that.
She's also got an authoritarian streak that I don't like, and I've been warning for the 2.5 years this radio station's been on the air.
Yeah.
There is a big government movement within the Republican Party and the conservative movement.
Right.
It's there.
It is there.
Which is what separates that and MAGA. But go ahead. In my viewpoint, that's what MAGA's over here, and you're right. The conservative movement with everything else, and Nikki would be over here.
And I am worried about the conservative big government movement. Now, there are big government things that I don't care for in the MAGA movement. There are plenty of things that MAGA gets 100% right. And there's nuance in there. But with like Nikki Haley, she's got an authoritarian streak on things. And even some of my friends, I disagree. Listen, the Heritage Foundation gets some things wrong.
Yeah.
On big government stuff.
Yeah, there's our senators occasionally.
Josh Hawley gets it wrong.
He occasionally brings out a sort of big government solution to us. To that. We're like, whoa.
I would argue.
And we like him a lot.
I would argue that Josh Hawley is leading the big government movement in the conservative movement.
Well,
I really do.
Probably because he has the most solid voice of, you know, on the right. And he has those big government leanings that kind of come out when he's discussing these issues.
And when he's right,
he's
right.
Like,
and there
right.
is nobody I would rather have questioning people in the left on those hearings and debating them. All right, 314-912-1019. I've got a little more to say on this.
Yeah, there's a big.
Let's just keep this going here.
Let's keep going.
And besides, Nikki has a mathematical problem as of yesterday. So her math seems to be off a little bit.
Yeah,
it's a two-man race.
So let's keep this going because I got a few other things to say. Because listen, if we're going to tap dance on landmines, let's just do it. And especially
get the full routine.
if something I've said you don't like and you cringed at or you kind of recoiled at, I want to talk to you. I want to hear from you.
Yeah.
So let's pick this up just a little. Pick this up here in about 2 minutes and 15 seconds or something like that. On 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
This is News Talk STL at 1019 94.1 99.1 HD3 and newstalkstl.com. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. St. Louis's place to talk.
Freedom of speech is one of the anchors of our society.
News Talk STL.
Are you tired of the corruption and special interest groups controlling our state and cities? Are you tired of yelling at your TV or your car radio because important issues like crime, homelessness, education, and taxes are being blocked by special interest groups? It is time for Missourians to declare our independence from special interest groups corrupting our government. Join the Freedom Principle Mo today, and you can be an integral part of creating the largest statewide member-led organization fighting for America and Missouri First policies. The Freedom Principle Mo is fighting to put the voters back in charge of our government. The Freedom Principle Mo has been a leading voice in Jefferson City, fighting for our police and making our community safer, exposing corruption at the local level and in Jefferson City. It's time to start making our elected officials start listening to us and finally start passing legislation that protects our freedom and protects Missouri's values. Visit our website at freedomprinciplemmo.org and join today and make 2024 the year we get something done.
Hey, it's Columbo and Katie inviting you to join us, plus Mark Close and a whole bunch of our musical friends Saturday, January 27th at Westport Playhouse.
Our band, Mark's band, and Lenny Mink will be joined by some very special guests for an awesome night of music for a great cause. All proceeds go to Thrive St. Louis. Get your tickets now at westportplay.com and join us for a great party January 27th at Westport Playhouse. Brought to you by Weber Chevrolet.
Tickets on sale now at westportplay.com.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hey, this is Larry Connors. Make sure you're listening later today at 6 o'clock on News Talk STL for my show, Larry Connors USA. Now, back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
When the lights go down in the city.
Okay, I want to just kind of lay cards out on the table here because it kind of dawned on me during that last segment. And by the way, if you're just joining us, and it is 6:52, I said let's just kind of do away with the script and let's talk about how we're going to talk about politics in 2024, especially the presidential campaign.
Right.
Because there's a divide. And I think, Stell, you said it. There's a divide on the right.
Yes.
The factions are there. MAGA, conservatives. There's some overlap there, but
and then
establishment, and you've got all of that. But the thing is that when we talk about things, and this is a talk show, we're supposed to be able to do it because we're just supposed to be able to talk about it. Like I said, if when the caucuses come around in Missouri, if Ron DeSantis is still in the race at that point, I don't know if he will be or not, but if he is, that's in all likelihood who I'm going to vote for.
Right.
I guarantee you somebody turned off the radio
they got mad
when
about
I said that. They got mad about it.
Mm-hmm.
Or they veered off the highway.
Well, shaking their fist at me. And Stell, that's right. But Stell, I mean, and you've been pretty upfront with the caucuses come around. If you can make it, you're going to vote for who? Caucus for who?
Well, it would be Trump.
There you go. Okay.
By the way, Kathy's not going. By the way, she told me last night
not to.
Okay,
because you have to register. I think so.
Well, you got to. You're with your county. With your
think you have to
with
declare,
the party. With the party, you have to declare.
Well, I don't know. That's not the law, though.
Okay.
I'll get Renee Artman on from St. Louis County because I talked to her, and what happened is, and this is kind of just a little side note here, the law changed in Missouri now. We never registered with the political party, so all of a sudden, millions of voters are independents unless you take the effort to go change your voter affiliation with a party. And you can do Republican, Democrat, Libertarian. I don't know if any of the other third parties are
Green, whatever.
Yeah, if they're ballot qualified. But I think a very tiny percentage of people actually know that.
Mm-hmm.
So I now every county might have their own rules on it, but the theory is that you're supposed to be able to go in there and caucus, regardless of your registration. But over the next few weeks, we'll clear that up as well. But here's the thing: is and we don't talk about the candidates as freely as we should.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even if you are a big MAGA person, you got the red hat, that sort of thing. You know that Donald Trump is a very flawed human being.
Yes.
I mean, am I saying something controversial there?
No. Every candidate has flaws.
But I mean, he's really flawed as a personal human being.
But you know what? You look through Scripture and God picks out for some reason. I'm not saying God's picking out Trump. But God picks out certain individuals who make believers like us and like me go, whoa, wait a minute. Why is God's anointing on this person to be leader?
Well, yeah, and I'm not convinced he's anointed, but that's part of the disagreement.
No, I understand.
But what I'm saying is that there are people who get really upset
if you bring it up.
If you even bring it up and point it out.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And it's like, you're attacking him. Well, listen, of the three who are left, my preference is Ron DeSantis. And you know what? He's wrong on a few things, I think.
Yeah.
So, for instance, we don't talk about, in conservative media, we don't cover Trump the way we cover other candidates.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, let's be honest. After about a month ago, there was a school shooting in Iowa. Turns out
in Perry,
Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
Donald Trump, right after that, one of his rallies, he said, you got to get over it. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, if somebody on the left or one of the rhinos said that, we'd be all over it. Mm-hmm. If Nikki Haley said that, we'd be drilling it into the ground. But we don't want to tap dance around that because we don't want to upset that. He said in the last week that he hopes the economy crashes this year. So that Joe Biden would get blamed for it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's a lot of yabbits when it comes to your favorite candidate.
But
and that sort of thing. So, but the thing is that it inhibits our ability to talk about the stuff that needs to be talked about.
Mm-hmm.
When I point out that things are different with Donald Trump, I'm not attacking Donald Trump. I'm pointing out things are different. And I'm tired of all of us tap dancing. I mean, the whole conservative movement tap dancing around a real conversation. Now, you can defend him.
Mm-hmm.
Great. That's what these are for. There's plenty of defense of Donald Trump.
Right. But we're not even allowed to, not allowed.
We've
been avoiding bringing up the discussions in and of themselves, and I think that's a detriment to the wider conversation.
We need to hold Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump to the same standard we're holding Nikki Haley to that she's failing at.
Mm-hmm.
And if they pass the test, fantastic. If they don't, okay, well, let's talk about that as well. I just want News Talk STL in this morning show to be a place where we talk in a more real way, and I think we want to do that on the station overall.
Agree.
I think conservatives have it wrong.
Or disagree.
I couldn't agree with you more.
The conversation happens here.
I agree with you on Trump. I'm shaking my head. I'm one of your liberal Democratic listeners, and I don't get why any of this even matters.
Because your voice matters.
Everybody told him he couldn't do it, and then he did do it.
That's what you got to do. You got to play hardball.
So I want to hear what people think and be able to talk about it.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Congratulations to everyone at Connor Roofing. We chose the Connor Roofing team for our National Best of the Best Award for customer satisfaction without telling anyone at Connor Roofing, based on over 30 years of fantastic customer reviews. Rob and Kathy Connor and their team deliver very high-quality roofing, siding, gutters, storm damage restoration at a fair price with integrity. Connor Roofing has had an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau for years. Count on Connor. For an estimate, please visit ConnorRoofing.com. That's CONNER roofing.com.
Is your family prepared for the financial burden of losing a loved one?
Are you aware of the cost of a funeral?
Benjamin Schaefer with Senior Memorial could help you qualify for lifetime permanent final expense insurance coverage with no medical exam required.
Just answer a few health questions, and once accepted, your rates never increase.
Do you have diabetes? High blood pressure?
Have you had a heart attack? A stroke?
No problem.
Benjamin Schaefer with Senior Memorial can help protect your legacy.
Call or text 314-866-8886. That's 314-866-8886.
To learn more about permanent lifetime final expense insurance coverage.
Benjamin Schaefer with Senior Memorial could help you qualify for immediate coverage by answering just a few health questions.
Call or text 314-866-8886 or learn more at memorialplans.com. That's memorialplans.com.
Policies underwritten by Senior Life Insurance Company. Not available in all states.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNVS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Jason Walker. Former President Donald Trump says his court appearances will not stop him from campaigning in New Hampshire.
I go to a Biden witch hunt, and then I come here in the afternoon and I stop and we make speeches and we get your votes and all that stuff. But nobody's ever had to do this before.
Mr. Trump says he will be campaigning hard in New Hampshire.
We love you. I'll be back here for a lot because we want to win this. We want to win this state.
The New Hampshire primary set for next Tuesday. That's the 23rd. Nasty weather now in the Pacific Northwest. Ice and freezing rain continuing. A storm that took its toll in other areas of the United States. Parts of the southwest areas of Washington and western Oregon, including the state's largest cities, are under an ice storm warning throughout the remainder of today. Also at townhall.com, the people behind a secretive Silicon Valley-backed ballot initiative to construct a new city in California on some farmland, now releasing more details of their deal.
Project backers are submitting paperwork to ask voters on the November ballot to allow for urban uses of that farmland. The proposed development would include nearly 20,000 homes initially for 50,000 residents and could grow to 400,000 people. Critics do not like how California Forever secretly purchased land and say the investment could be used to bolster existing cities.
That is correspondent Jeremy House reporting. Federal judge siding with the Biden administration, blocking JetBlue Airways from buying Spirit Airlines. U.S. District Judge William Young says the $3.8 billion deal would, in his words, reduce competition. More on these stories at townhall.com.
You know, it's true. Difficult times have a way of focusing us. We have to think about what matters most when it comes to our spending, our health care. This is why so many people are joining MediShare right now. MediShare is a trusted way to save up to 50% on your monthly health care costs. More than 400,000 people have already made the switch. It's pretty obvious why, too, especially now during this challenging season with healthcare costs and out-of-pocket expenses going up. MediShare can save you a lot of money. The typical family saves $500 a month. MediShare works, too. It's been around for 30 years. Members have shared more than $5 billion of each other's bills. There are different options to choose from to fit your budget. I'll give you the number here in a second, and if you call, you can get a price within 2 minutes. Maybe now is the perfect time to make the switch and start saving. Here you go. Call 844-41-BIBLE. That's 844-41-BIBLE. 844-41-BIBLE.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Well, the Bahamas it is not, but we're trending in a warmer direction. Another cold start, but we'll do some melting this afternoon. Temperatures climb to 38 under mostly sunny skies. Down to 23 tonight. Let's keep an eye out for a few flurries or light snow overnight. Doesn't look like much, but I can't rule out some slick spots tomorrow morning. Then the daylight hours Thursday are dry. We bounce back into the mid-30s. Another chance of light snow Thursday night into Friday morning, and then temperatures crash hard on Friday. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com.
Tony Colombo here for Cadre Asset Management. A cadre is defined as a small group of people specially trained for a particular purpose or profession, and that is the role that Cadre Asset Management can play in your financial journey. Learn more about how they can help secure your financial future by following Cadre Asset Management on Facebook, or just go to cadreassetmgmt.com.
Cadre Asset Management is a Missouri-based independent advisory firm licensed under and securities and investment advisory services offered through Founders Financial Securities, LLC, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC. Katie. Getting a new floor for your home can be intimidating and a little scary, but that's not the case when you go to Michael's Flooring Outlet. Katie here, and my mom and dad used Michael's, and they had a great experience. They've been a locally owned and operated family business for more than 30 years. You want variety? Michael's has carpet, hardwood, laminate, ceramic tile, luxury vinyl, natural stone, and many other options. Shop in-store at one of their 3 locations in Creve Coeur, Dardine Prairie, or St. Peters. Check out everything that Michael's has to offer at igotfloored.com.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com. Mike Ferguson.
You play ball like a girl!
Gabe Pfeiffer.
I triple dog dare you!
Get up! Can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice. Drain the swamp and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
Get up! This is your cousin.
All right, activists in one city are protesting, demanding that a business not close.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
That a business not close.
Mhm.
Like you have to stay open kind
Yeah.
of thing. Are they standing like the doors and stuff?
Well, I mean, they're calling in the local politicians and they're, doing the picket lines and stuff.
You have to stay open.
It's a matter of equity,
Is it?
Yeah.
Jeez. Okay. I
Okay.
mean, you're going to buy stuff, maybe.
Well, and see, here's the thing.
Or steal stuff.
Oh, wait a minute.
That's why I'm bringing this up, because there's a much bigger picture. Because you know what, businesses, especially chain businesses, they close locations all the time.
Oh, sure.
But now you've got activists, and these are all folks on the hard left who are horrified and angry that this business is closing in their community. And they are demanding that something be done to stop that business from shutting down that location.
Okay, I think I have the story now. I could probably tell you exactly what's in the story, having not read it.
Okay.
And you're kind of familiar with the city, too.
Look
I'm
at
just
your
saying.
show prep. I'm just saying.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
I do. I send this like show prep for everything. And Gabe's like, whoa, I didn't know that. I'm like, then read your damn show prep.
Read the show prep. I'm sorry. I'm posting stuff and looking at comments.
It is 7:07.
We got a lot of stuff going on.
I'm Mike Ferguson. Oh my goodness! By the way, there's a great conversation happening on Rumble right now, so appreciate everybody being involved on that. Rumble, I keep pushing Rumble. One, for the simple reason that us conservatives, libertarians, we're not going to get censored on there.
Yeah.
I do not have a vested interest in Rumble.
Right.
I do not own stock in it, nothing like that. We know that News Talk STL has been thrown off YouTube once.
Yeah.
And we're streaming on other things.
We've been censored by Facebook.
We've been censored by, we have.
Like literally
people,
censored.
People don't realize that when we first started the radio station, Facebook refused to carry our ads.
Yeah.
Just to tell you that we were there.
Yeah.
That we're here.
And they called it election interference.
Right.
That was the reason why our first ad that just said, "Hey, we're a conservative radio station in St. Louis," and they took it down and they said, "Hey, that's election interference."
Right, because we said the word conservative.
Because we said we are conservative.
Right. We said literally what Gabe, it was nothing more than what Gabe said.
Nothing more than that.
There's a new conservative radio station in town, and Facebook refused the ad. Because when the, you know how business goes, you get investors, people buy in, and there was a budget set aside for advertising, and they refused to take the money, and they not platformed or whatever. Because we're on Facebook, they're not going to throw us off. Well, they might, but they have before. They've suspended.
They removed an ad that they had previously approved,
right?
And then refused to take any further ads for a while.
So we're not allowed to advertise on some of these social media platforms. But Rumble, we never have to worry about that. So if you go to Rumble, and even if you just set up an account which is free, then you can comment. Now you can watch us and listen to us on Rumble without doing anything.
Yep.
But if you do that, just look up News Talk STL. Okay, let me get back to the story at hand here. Okay, so here's the bigger picture. And this is in Boston. Okay. So what happens when a pseudo entitlement mindset, which is what we see on the left, collides with the business and the economic realities?
Yes. Chaos ensues.
Right. And by the way, it's 7:20. City bureaucrats back down. ministry that's just trying to help people wins. Let's talk about that at 7:20, the situation in Edwardsville. I want to go in depth on that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so here's what's happening in Boston. And it shows how many people on the left, what they think of businesses, right? So they think businesses exist to provide the collective with something.
Yes.
No matter what the cost is to the business. And that any business decisions to make or to save money are just not valid if you don't have access to what you want from that business.
Yeah, it's basically a misunderstanding. I won't say misunderstanding. It's a deliberate misunderstanding.
Yeah.
I'll go that far of the purpose of a business because from a conservative standpoint, a capitalist standpoint, we know that businesses serve the purpose of providing value to their investors. To the people who create the business. That is the actual purpose. All of the other stuff.
You mean profit?
Profit.
You're putting profit over people.
Yes. Well, actually, profit is for certain people.
Right.
The people who took the risk to create the business. So all the other things are secondary to that, right? They serve that purpose. The left looks at it as like, no, a business exists to provide jobs for us and to provide access to stuff for us.
Access to stuff for everyone.
Yeah.
Nice socialist mindset.
Yeah,
there.
exactly.
Okay, so I'm glad you said that, Stel. I'm looking at the story from the Boston Globe. And they've got a special writing team at the Boston Globe called the Money, Power, and Inequality Team, where all they do is cover stuff like this.
Oh,
that's what they call it.
Gabe's having flashbacks.
Oh man,
to his years in Boston.
I lived in there for a while, and that's all I heard about.
Okay, so get this. This is a Walgreens that we're talking about. And listen, chain places close and open.
Yeah.
It happens. I remember in one place that I used to live, when they closed the Ruby Tuesday, I was heartbroken.
Oh, yeah.
Because I love that salad bar. Man, I'd get that 6-ounce steak, and then I'd just tear up that salad bar.
I was really mad back in my hometown when they closed the Woolworth.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that?
And think of the stores here, Calico's, which was a great restaurant.
Yeah.
I mean, most of them closed down, and so many other local places where you go, I can't believe that.
Twin Oak Pizza.
Yeah, exactly.
In Brentwood.
Your daughter works for there
used
for a
to
while.
work, that's closed down completely now.
Yeah.
It happens. And they were, and so here's the thing is, let me read the fourth paragraph.
Okay.
The pharmacy that is slated to close by Martin Luther King Day, which they actually backed it up to the end of the month. They're closing at the end of the month. But they say that pharmacy is slated to close by Martin Luther King Day and is the fourth Walgreens to close in a predominantly Black and Latino Boston neighborhood in just over a year. Now, keep in mind that Walgreens is closing locations all over the country.
Yeah, they're downsizing as a company to begin with.
They see something coming in the economy that's making them take defensive measures.
Yes.
That's another discussion.
And if they're not closing, they're putting everything behind protective plastic glass.
On the West Coast, they are. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And in Chicago,
right.
they
in
are.
Chicago, yeah.
Yes. So you have to actually ask.
Right.
You have to buzz a button, and somebody has to come from the back to get the stuff for you.
All right,
That's a great way to shop.
All right, what do you want?
Yeah.
Here's the thing: is that the protest, and they've done the picketing. Literally, the picketing, and the city hall is involved, and state legislature is involved.
Do they realize that usually picketing a business removes the incentive for people to shop there?
Right.
Do they understand that
No.
that's counterproductive to what they're actually asking for?
Let me try to assume the best intentions here.
Okay.
And I think some people have them. And that is that this is in a lower income area.
Yeah.
They said it's a Black and Hispanic area. Now, I'm not going to assume that's low income, but that's what they're saying is that it is. So let's assume it's lower income. This is where people get their medications.
And they need to be able to walk there.
They need to be able to walk there or get on a bus.
Public
Something like that.
transportation.
And this Walgreens has apparently been there for decades.
Sure.
This has been a long time thing. And people have been going there for a long time. You can get a few groceries. You can get a few things. I mean, I stop at Walgreens and CVS a lot. You know, it's convenient.
Oh, yeah.
And so they're angry because they're saying, but the next closest pharmacy is X number of miles away.
Right.
Whatever it is. And they're saying this is taking away what we have to have in our neighborhood, which is a pharmacy. Well, I understand being upset that you're losing your pharmacy. But their answer is we're going to stop you from making this business decision because your business decision does not matter as much as our demand to be able to get the stuff you sell. So get this. In Roxbury, which I guess is the neighborhood there.
Oh yeah, Roxbury. Yeah, I know that area.
Okay, what is Roxbury then? Is that
it's not a great area.
Okay, so that's what we know.
Yeah.
By the way, Walgreens has statewide. Walgreens has 224 of their 1,100 pharmacies in Massachusetts. In 2022, 58 pharmacies closed in Massachusetts. 1/3 of those being Walgreens stores. People are ordering stuff online.
Yeah.
Or they're going and picking up at Walmart or at the grocery store or whatever.
Mhm.
Okay, so let me read this article from this paragraph from the Boston Globe. In Roxbury, some residents say they will continue to fight off the closure of their neighborhood store.
How do you do that?
And how is it their store?
Well, yeah. Well, yes. Secondly,
the Communities of Color for Health Equity, a grassroots group of residents led by the Reverend Minyard Culpepper of Pleasant Hill Missionary Baptist Church, and by the Prophetic Resistance Boston Group, whatever that is.
Crap.
They delivered a letter to Walgreens district office in Marlboro on Tuesday seeking to halt the closure. They plan to bring their concerns to the pharmacy's Chicago headquarters if they feel they are unheard. They're being heard.
Yeah, and the thing is that what they are currently communicating is that Walgreens shouldn't be in their neighborhood. I mean, that's honestly, if I'm the owner of Walgreens,
yeah.
That's what I'm hearing. It's like, okay, you're taking me for granted, and you believe that you own the stuff that I'm providing.
Right.
I don't want to bet on your neighborhood. That's really what all of these decisions are. When businesses go into these areas, they're like, I'm going to bet on the profitability of this neighborhood. That we're going to have access to a lot of good people who want to come in and they just want to buy stuff, as opposed to creating a location for people to steal stuff.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, what's been happening in a lot of these large cities these days is all of these chain stores, whether it's Walgreens, Walmart, Target, all of these places, they are a target of criminality. And it's like, well, I can't stand that anymore.
Well, there is actually a free market response, sort of free market. State Representative Christopher Worrell, I guess, who represents that particular area in the Boston legislature, he said he's pushing a bill to expedite online and home delivery resources in Massachusetts for Roxbury residents. So you would have access to other parts of the market to get your stuff faster. He's like, well, if they're going to close this, then we got to change the law so people can order online and get stuff faster because there are barriers. Okay, well, that's a good response.
Well, yeah, why would there be barriers?
Some states don't.
They don't like you to do that, eh?
But here's the other aspect of this is like City Hall is trying to find a way to stop the closure until they can have more time to figure out what to do. And they're also threatening to not let them open up other pharmacies in other parts of the city while this one's being closed.
Really?
So this goes back to, and we're going to talk about the conflict between Edwardsville City Hall and a church. This is a similar thing saying with the city government saying, no, government's here to micromanage all of you private organizations.
Mm-hmm.
And I would be upset too. Well, I mean, here's the thing. I live in Richmond Heights. We're not hurting in Richmond Heights. Okay, let's be honest. I don't live the life that these Roxbury residents live. Okay, but if the Walgreens where I go, if suddenly they close down, I couldn't get my blood pressure medicines from there. Then I go to the CVS in Maplewood. Not a big deal. But that's not a big deal for me. For them, this may be a big deal, but the bigger picture is the mindset that says, I co-own your private business.
Right.
I co-own your productivity. You don't have the right to make a decision that's in your best interest unless it's also in my best interest, even though I didn't take, like you said, Gabe, any of the risk to keep that business there.
Yep. Yeah, I just did a quick search to see if there were any CVS, which is, Walgreens competition out there near Roxbury. And Roxbury is south of Boston, just a little bit.
Like Brockton area?
Yeah, kind of.
I used to do some business in Brockton.
A little bit. But looking at CVS pharmacies, they're all around Roxbury. So the thing is, other businesses realized that Roxbury isn't the area to have a business, and they all got out, basically. And it almost makes a perfect circle around Roxbury is where you could get a CVS location. So it sounds to me like they're trying to address the symptom of a larger problem. Yeah. They need to deal with the culture in Roxbury.
And at the risk of making local people feel really awkward. We've got that going on here in St. Louis. I lived here for 53 years. And speaking of Walgreens, the one at Arsenal and Kings Highway closed up. And we've got so many deserts. We got food deserts and pharmaceutical deserts in North City, where the poor people have no place close by. And I mean poor people. I mean, I didn't mean that poor economically. I meant those poor folks have nowhere to go that's close by because these businesses have closed down, whether it's Schnucks or other groceries or pharmaceutical places. They had to close because they were either having all their products stolen or the business just wasn't making it.
And the economy. And you know, these businesses project. So again, I'm trying to not question the motives.
Sure.
You've got people there who aren't mobile.
Right.
They need to go get their heart medicine.
Yeah, you're worried about those people, which you should be. So come up with another solution instead of saying, we own your stuff.
Yeah. You know, and like you said, addressing the realities of what are the reasons it's closing. You may not need a 6,000 square foot building anymore that's really expensive. You can do this in an express somewhere for 1,200 square feet and a tenth of the cost. And that's what they're doing.
You know what? Since we're stepping on toes this morning, how about Deerbergs? They've never opened in the city.
Oh, yeah.
There are no Deerbergs in St. Louis City.
That's true.
Oh.
And I'm not knocking Deerbergs. I'm just saying, okay, what's the deal behind that?
Well, I know I don't go to Deerbergs because it's expensive.
But it would be nice to have a few of them in the city proper.
Yeah.
And we don't.
All right. 314-912-1019. We've got another case of government saying we're going to run the private sector, and the private sector says no. And the end result is a church gets to continue being a ministry without being harassed by City Hall. I love this story. We're talking about that just ahead.
We give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. Only on News Talk STL. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
You're gonna blow us all away.
On the next Larry Connors USA.
So the Iowa caucus is over. What about the winners, the losers? And now what happens with New Hampshire? That's coming up January 23rd.
Larry Connors USA. Now weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL.
It may be cold outside, but one of the best ways to warm up this winter is with a visit to Johnny's Hideout in High Ridge, Missouri. Located 10 minutes from 270 in Gravois, Johnny's is the go-to St. Louis sports bar and grill experience featuring over 30 big TVs, full bar, excellent, awesome food featuring the famous Johnny Dow's chicken wings, live music with local musicians, and a huge game room. Johnny's Hideout opens 7 days a week for lunch and dinner. Check out the Speaker of the House table on your next visit. More information, jhideout.com. That's jhideout.com. Johnny's Hideout in High Ridge.
Columbo and Katie.
When it comes down to getting in the ballot box, Democratic voters vote for the Democrat.
Yeah.
Republican voters are typically more in tune with the policies of the candidates, not the party in general, of the candidates. And if they don't like a candidate, they won't vote for him. But you need to understand that the team that you're going against, they're going to vote for the letter no matter what.
Tony Columbo, Katie Fitzpatrick. Weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
Seavers JCB has the JCB AG loader you need for maximum efficiency and versatility around the farm. JCB's TM series of articulated telescopic loaders are powerful, rugged, and engineered to deliver maximum productivity in all of your material handling applications. Take advantage of special year-end financing offers and tax breaks that may entitle you to additional savings. Stop in to Seavers Equipment and check out their full line of industry-leading JCB agriculture equipment or contact them at seaversjcb.com.
The Democrat Party is going to have to go back toward the center.
News, analysis, and opinion.
I've never called a talk show before, but this just irked me.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Hey, this is Larry Connors. Make sure you're listening later today at 6 o'clock on News Talk STL for my show, Larry Connors USA. Now, back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All I wanna do when I wake up in the morning is see you rise. Rosanna, Rosanna.
Toto.
I thought Gabe was singing there for a second.
I did, just briefly.
You know, Toto did a show over at Stiefel, I don't know, 5-6 months ago, something like that. And I'm probably not supposed to tell the story, but Rachel's younger boy, he's 17. And so for his birth, he loves 80s music.
Yeah.
Like the pop music, not the good stuff, the metal stuff.
Not the
pop
metal
stuff.
and the rock, yeah.
And so for, I think it was his birthday or Christmas or whatever, Rachel got him tickets to go see Toto.
Oh, nice.
And he said he walked in and he was like the only teenager there. And it's
Yes,
funny
of course.
because he said that he never wants to go to another concert again because that one was so perfect. He doesn't want to be
He doesn't want to ruin
disappointed
it.
and everything else.
Oh, wow.
And we're like, dude, go to other
There's
concerts.
more. There's more.
There's more to
It gets better even.
Yeah, even if the others aren't as good, you're still going to have fun.
Yeah.
Anyway. All right. Okay, a simple act of saying no thanks to government bureaucrats' demands is a win for those who need shelter, but it's also a win for keeping a local government in its place. There's a big lesson here, which is why I want to talk about this.
Yes.
Okay. Promote News Talk STL's election coverage, guys. Listen, we're covering the election. Matter of fact, we had a really good. This is kind of like Sacred Cow Day.
Yes.
And
It's a Sacred Cow barbecue.
And we did this at 6 o'clock, and I think at 8 o'clock, in the 8 o'clock hour, I want to do this again. Is just talk about how we're going to talk about it. I said, let's just get real.
Yeah.
We tap dance around some conflicts, and there are fissures, I should say, within the right. And so let's talk about it. Why can't we disagree on stuff like Trump or DeSantis or Haley or, the different things? We should be able to, this is where we talk about it and disagree.
Right.
There's some people who are commenting on Rumble, having a really good discussion since we brought that up. And that's exactly the point. So we'll get back to that here. So Edwardsville City Hall backs down. And they decided to stop hassling and threatening First Baptist Church
Yay.
in Edwardsville. This is fantastic. Now, in case you missed our discussion the other day, which I think was Monday, and what happened was they decided to set up an overnight warming location.
Right.
An owl. And if you go on Facebook and look up overnight warming locations, they've got
They got a list.
It's a little network, kind of is what it is.
I wonder if their avatar is an owl.
It should be.
It should be, yeah.
That's all wrapped up in a blanket.
In a blanket. I was going to say,
with
an
a little
owl.
cup of coffee or something.
Yes, an owl blanket and a cup of soup.
That's right. and so what they do is the church through this little network decided, you know what, if it's below 20 degrees, so we've got a pretty stringent standard here. If it's below 20 degrees and there's somebody who needs a warm place to sleep, they're set up some cots. They have, I'm sure, have some kind of food or beverage or something there, and you can go in and sleep that night. I mean, you're not staying 24 hours a day. You got to go in the daytime, but you could at least stay safe. So yeah, there's probably some homeless people there. I'm sure there are. And then there are other people who just live in homes that can't keep up with that kind of cold. And I am telling you, I've lived in one of those homes before.
Yes.
I mean, I've been there.
Yeah,
I understand.
Yeah. It's older construction. It doesn't have the built-in heat systems, forced air heat.
The
and all
cold
that
air runs right through
the building.
The furnace kicks off. I mean, I have lived when I used to have to just rent whatever cheap place I could. Guys, I'm telling you, people are like, yeah, you're the guy who lives in Richmond Heights. You don't understand. Oh yeah, I do, because you have no idea how many years I lived, not even just paycheck to paycheck, just paycheck to whatever I could do to survive until something else came. I mean, I've been there. I was a single dad for 14 years with zero help from an ex-spouse. So believe me, I get it. I guess, which is why maybe, Gabe, why I'm kind of fired up about this.
Yeah. I think it got your goat a little bit.
I've never needed something like this.
But the idea of somebody taking the possibility, the needed resource from other people who may be in a similar situation, I think that got at you.
But there was a winter storm once that was so cold, I called the pastor of our church and said, hey, nobody's in the parsonage right now. Could me and the kids stay there tonight? And they let me do it.
Yeah, there you go. So imagine you're imagining a government bureaucrat saying, "Oh, you had to register this,
right,
pastor, sir. You can't just let somebody, stay in your house."
Right. And so that's what happened is the city hall in Edwardsville ordered the church to shut down the overnight warming location because they didn't get a permit.
Right.
They didn't get a zoning permission, like a variance or whatever permission they needed. And the city tried to play this off as saying, listen, we contacted them back in October when we heard about this and just said, we'll walk you through the paperwork. Let's make sure we can get you the permission.
We just want to make sure everybody's safe.
Right. And that's what they said, as though the government paperwork keeps you safe. But here's the important thing. Going back to October, First Baptist Church in Edwardsville simply said, no, thank you.
Yep.
We don't need your permission to be a church that serves the people around us.
Hey, that's the mission of the church. It was a very polite FU to the government. It was I got you while you were drinking.
I almost spit take on that.
That was almost a serious spit take.
Gino, our engineer, would have beat me up so bad.
No, but it was basically it was a bless your heart. It was a bless your heart. And it's like, bless your heart, sir, but
pea picking heart.
Yeah, exactly. Bless your pea picking heart. We're just going to do what churches do. And that's basically what they said. They said, this is our mission. We believe we're well within the rights of our mission, which we already, told you, government, that we're going to do. So we're not going to participate in your little program.
And that's where the debate came, because people are saying, what, you're special? You don't have to apply by the same rules that other nonprofits or other businesses. And the church kind of said, well, I don't know if they said they're special, but they said, no. This is about you stay in your lane, we'll stay in ours.
Yeah.
And that's the bigger picture.
Mm-hmm.
And what they were doing is the city said, we're fining you $750 a day that you keep people out of the deadly cold. Let that sink in for a second.
Yeah.
And we're summoning you to court. And they were supposed to go to court tomorrow. Well, it's not happening now. And we've given you citations. Well, the backlash must have been significant.
It must have been.
Because City Hall dropped it.
Yeah.
The mayor put out a statement saying, well, we weren't trying to shut it down. They actually were.
Mm-hmm.
He said that we weren't trying to shut it down. We just wanted to make sure everybody was safe, including the people who are volunteering there, as though a church had no vested interest in keeping people safe.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
As though City Hall's paperwork was going to keep anybody safe. But the bigger picture here is that the city backed down and the church, again, not going to war with them, just saying, no, we're not going to do that. That was a big way to remind people it is our job to keep government in line. It's not government's job not their primary job to keep us in line.
Right.
Yes, we need law and order. We punish people who hurt other people. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that the important thing is that we keep government in line in a republic.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the function of government, if we get down to it, because we are a free people, you as an individual are free. You are free to associate. You are free to deal with other people as you will. And the point of the government is to make sure that when we are dealing with one another, that we're doing so rightly, that we're not harming one another, that we're not defrauding one another, and also to make sure that while we are, executing our kind of collective will through government, that those resources are being applied properly. So, as much as I want to cry about the fire regulations that I have to abide by in my basement renovation, I get it. If I build it wrong and it catches fire because I built it really, really wrong, then I'm wasting city resources that other people have paid for. I'm harming my community by absorbing that. So I get those types of things. But that's where
even those go too far.
But even those can go too far. Even those can go like this whole zoning idea. Right? We need a variance and we just want to keep people safe. It's like you know what your purpose is, government, and you know that you've gone too far. You're just trying to exert your power here. You're just trying to make sure that no one steps on the edges of your little fiefdom in government. And I think that's actually where we need to stand up and we need to politely say, F you.
It's the same mindset that Sam Page used when people said, no, we're pushing back against your orders. Listen, government primarily, the primary jobs is to defend your rights and your property, basically.
Yes.
And then public service, there's definitely things underneath there. There are services that are better suited in the public, as in like law enforcement, fire, things like that. But primarily, government's job is to protect your rights and to protect your property.
Yes. Because I'm sorry, go ahead.
Because you don't have rights without the ability to own private property.
Right.
Without private property, there's no point in having rights.
And the 9 most dangerous words. I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
Exactly.
But so many people, and I'm not even going to say so many on the left, because there are people on the right who believe this too. Instead of saying government's job primarily is to preserve our rights, preserve our ability to own property, because those are linked. Instead, they think government's job is to regulate and co-manage our lives.
Yeah.
It's not.
Please stop.
First Baptist Church of Edwardsville, which I know nothing about their theology, know nothing about their leanings, know nothing about them, but I do know that they put government in its place the right way, respectful way.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Well, the Bahamas it is not, but we're trending in a warmer direction. Another cold start, but we'll do some melting this afternoon. Temperatures climb to 38 under mostly sunny skies. Down to 23 tonight. Let's keep an eye out for a few flurries or light snow overnight. Doesn't look like much, but I can't rule out some slick spots tomorrow morning. Then the daylight hours Thursday are dry. We bounce back into the mid-30s. Another chance of light snow Thursday night into Friday morning, and then temperatures crash hard on Friday. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Ackerman Toyota had a great 2023, so Jay asked me to thank you for all of your support. Loyal customers making Ackerman Toyota number one in St. Louis Toyota sales. Number one out of the 75 Toyota dealers in the region in Camry and Corolla sales. Ackerman has the lowest prices, great selection. Visit Ackerman at Hampton and 44 or online, AckermanToyota.com. Ackerman Toyota, for life.
This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
So you finally decided to buy a Tesla or some other EV make. That's fine. You're enjoying it, having fun with it. Good. But then you have some really, really cold weather like we're having. And like some in Oak Brook, Chicago area, it's so cold they find it's draining down their batteries faster than normal. Some of them made it to a supercharging station, but they're all occupied. And when one car leaves, another one pulls in. You've got to wait and wait. Meanwhile, you're losing your power more and more. You just drove past 4 or 5 gas stations. That won't help you. That's a real story of what's happening in Chicago with the cold weather there and elsewhere. The cold drains the batteries in the car, and then when you get to the charging station, they're all occupied, or if they're not, some of them simply aren't working. Are you happy now? How about the guy that just lands at O'Hare, finds out his Tesla is dead, calls a flatbed tow truck, come pick it up, said, I need to get my car to a charging station. The tow truck driver says, well, I'll help you the best I can, but my truck is EV. It's also out of juice. We're both out of luck.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
Hey, it's Tony Colombo for my friends at A+ Plumbing and Drain, and they truly are our friends because they have done it all at our house over the years, from putting in a new faucet to installing a whole new bathroom from scratch. The team at A+ has always done great work for a great price. A+ Plumbing and Drain is a local, family-owned business that can take care of all your plumbing needs and specializes in new construction and home renovation. Call A+ for your next project at 636-288-7126 or through Facebook at A+ Plumbing and Drain.
Hi, News Talk listeners. This is Pastor Pat Rankin, joined today by my wife, Vicki Rankin.
Hello, News Talk listeners.
As followers of Jesus Christ and as a pastor, one of the closest things to my heart is empowering parents and saving lives of the unborn.
That's right, Pat. One of the greatest joys I've had is seeing our church donate to the cause for life and support Thrive. It really is the greatest humanitarian effort of our time.
Amen, hon. I am grateful to be in this fight with the church as a whole in St. Louis. Thank you to all who are out there who sacrificially give of themselves to those who need it the most.
It's so awesome, Pat, and I'm really excited to have Thrive at Have Bible Will Travel again this year to host a Day of Compassion for the National Sanctity of Human Life Sunday.
So am I. It is always an honor to have them come. Your church can join with Thrive this year as well. They can bring out live patient testimonies, Thrive speakers, an event table, multimedia, whatever you need.
Just go to thrivealivestl.org and they will get your church set up.
The news and talk that matters to St. Louis.
It seems as if the Democrats no longer view the government's job as protecting honest citizens from criminals.
1019 and 94.1.
But rather protecting criminals from honest citizens.
News Talk STL.
Hey there, Tim Jones here. Make sure you join me and my buddy Chris Arps this afternoon from 4 until 6 p.m. right here on 1019 94.1 News Talk STL. Right now, let's get back to more of Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All All right, will personal property taxes be phased out in Missouri? Calm down, Gabe.
I would very much like so.
So don't get your hopes up too much, but there is an effort to do that, so let's not rule it out completely.
All right.
By the way, our streaming audio, take us anywhere you want. The app is on all the app stores, and it's free. And, of course, you can always subscribe to our podcast and on-demand listing. So if you want to hear something again, or you happen to miss a show because you're doing something trivial like go to work or something like that, then you can always go catch up on it a little bit later. All right, I'm Mike Ferguson. Got Gabe here and got Stell here. It's 7:39 right now, joined by State Senator Bill Eigel. Bill, first of all, I want to get to some of the campaign-related questions, of course, with your campaign for governor right now. But let me start with a couple of legislative questions. Saw a couple articles this morning regarding some municipalities, some from your neck of the woods, St. Charles County, saying, hey, legislature, could we get a clarification on this senior citizen property tax freeze? And one of the local lawmakers saying, hey, there might be some more governments take advantage of that or implement it if they had some clarification on some things. Are their concerns valid? Is there anything that needs to be done to clarify that? Because I think it's a really good idea to say, hey, the people who have paid their dues for their entire life, we're not going to keep thumping you over the head with property taxes at least. So what's the status of that?
Yeah, good morning, Mike. Thanks for having me. And yes, Senate Bill 190, we did hear a bill in committee yesterday that would provide some clarifications on the law. And really, some of the municipalities came forward and had some specific hypotheticals that they felt weren't being answered by the bill yet. That didn't stop certain counties from going ahead and implementing that tax cut. St. Charles County is one county that has already implemented the tax cut where we limit or we stop assessment increases on seniors. So I think there is some cleanup language we'll do just to make it very clear that the legislature intended to actually cut taxes. And I don't think that that's going to cause anyone to not adopt the provisions of Senate Bill 190. But as you said, it may help a few other counties indeed go ahead and adopt them once that's clear. So again, just cleanup language. It's not going to change any of the heart of the bill. And I expect that'll get done in the next few weeks.
And so is that cleanup language just saying this is what you're allowed to do? I know one of them, they said, well, what's the age that qualifies? I mean, it looks like the original bill was designed to let the local governments have some leeway here. Others were saying, well, does that mean that they can freeze certain property taxes, like maybe the city, but not freeze it on the schools and that sort of thing? Or is this something that's going to apply across the board?
It's all of the above that you just said. The original bill said any Social Security recipient, which could be a wide variety of folks, younger folks even in certain circumstances. So we're changing that to say 62 and above. Another item is, as you said, there were certain jurisdictions assuming that it only meant county taxes and not school taxes and not, fire department taxes. So we're clarifying that it is all local taxes, county, fire department, schools, libraries, ambulance, all of those, all will be included under SB 190.
Good morning, Bill. Gabe Pfeiffer here. So I want to talk about the push to end personal property taxes. That is my personal crusade, if ever there was one, because I think it's one of the most immoral taxes that one can have as a government. So where are we in that fight?
Great. Yep. That's my crusade too.
All right.
It's I've been working on this for several years. We heard that bill in committee yesterday, and I introduced a bill, Senate Bill 733, which would completely phase out personal property tax. And basically it would work by if and when local revenues increase, and gosh, every year they seem to increase because assessments go up, right? The increase would be offset by a cut each year to personal property tax until personal property tax was gone. So it's a good way to preserve existing budgets while basically saying, hey, revenues, net revenues to government can't go up because we're just going to be cutting personal property tax until it's gone. And unfortunately, a bunch of municipalities showed up and said, oh gosh, we just can't operate if we give any kind of tax cut to the taxpayer. And it was the Cottleville Fire Department, the St. Charles County Ambulance District, the O'Fallon Fire Department, who have consistently showed up and said that if they lose even one single dollar, that they're not going to be able to provide these services to their constituents. And yet, at the same time, in the same interview, I asked them, hey, what are your budgets now? And have you ever had more money than you have right now? And they admitted that they are all at record amounts of revenue, even adjusted for inflation. And yet, they still weren't at a place where they could even consider or support any kind of tax cut on the taxpayer. And, I'm frustrated by that. I'm frustrated. I think if that bill went to a vote of the people, it probably gets 80 to 90% because the people know that the tax burden in this state is greater than it's ever been before. And they are sick and tired of politicians in Jefferson City bowing to these municipal municipal entities, not corporate entities, municipal entities coming into Jefferson City and, gaining so much sympathy because, gosh, if we lose $1, we're not going to be able to put fires out anymore. If we lose $1, we're not going to be able to drive our ambulance anymore. None of that is true. There is plenty of room to make government more efficient. We have bigger surpluses in Jefferson City than we've ever had before. So we can cut the tax burden. And gosh, these Republicans we keep elected into office, we should cut the tax burden. So we should have done it years ago. We're going to try again this year. But I tell you what, if I can't accomplish it as a state senator, it's going to be my number one priority as the governor of this state. I'm going to lead the government in Jefferson City to eliminate personal property tax. If the day dawns that I'm governor, you will have paid your last personal property tax. That is a promise and a commitment for me.
Okay, I want to get to that campaign in just a minute. But speaking of that, you talk about all the Republicans and what should happen because of the overwhelming number of Republicans. It's interesting to me that you're part of the Freedom Caucus. And the reaction from so many Republicans is, well, I don't know about these guys. What kind of trouble are they going to start? Instead of saying, all right, let's look at a free market type agenda. What do they got in line? Let's talk about it. What's the relationship like now between, several, you and other members of the Freedom Caucus and other members of the Republic, and some of the Republicans who are being a little squeamish about this, they're conservatives. I mean, so where's the status of the relationship? Because we've heard a lot about, the fact that some things aren't getting done because personal relationships have broken down. What's the truth in all of it?
The truth is there is a tense environment in the Senate right now. And, the problem is not that we want to call ourselves the Freedom Caucus and, other folks are upset that they weren't in the Freedom Caucus because they think they're conservative. The problem is there are too many Republicans in the Senate and the House that don't really mean it when they say they want to do big, red, conservative things. I'll give you an example. Number one priority, we just published this yesterday. The number one priority of the Freedom Caucus to accomplish this year, number one is accomplishing and passing IP reform so that we can protect the initiative petition process on the ballot and make sure that we don't have these out-of-state special interests coming into our state. Number two priority is personal property tax cut, by the way. But number one is IP reform. Now, Republicans in Jefferson City and all over the state have been saying this is the number one Republican priority for the past 2 years. Number one priority. Nothing's more important to that. And yet, here we are in the third week of session, and neither in the House or the Senate have the leadership of those chambers even referred one of the IP bills to committee. They haven't even taken action, and we're in the third week. And this is the problem. They continue to say, we're Republicans, we want to be conservative, we're going to do all those big things, and then they just don't do it. And this is what drives the need for a Freedom Caucus. So what are we going to do? We're going to be loud and bold about the fact that we're going to start killing all the Jefferson City sludge bills that don't really do anything to help the people of the state. They just empower and enrich the special interest in Jefferson City. And if we have to kill every one of those bills, which are a favorite of these moderate rhino Republicans, in order to get the big things done, then we're going to do it. And that is what's causing tension because they know, the rhinos know, that we can absolutely do that when we have an effective fighting force of 6 or 7 senators that are willing to stand up and fight for these principles. So the problem is not personality conflicts. The problem is not personal relationships. The problem is there's too many Republicans that don't want to do Republican things. And then there's a group of real Republicans, of which I'm a part of in the Freedom Caucus, that are sick and tired of it, and we're going to stand up and fight.
Bill, you mentioned a promise that if you become governor, you're gonna cut personal property taxes. I will be the first one to hold you to that promise, sir. But give us a little update about how the campaign for the governorship is going.
It's great. We just had a fantastic fundraising quarter. We raised over $600,000 last quarter. Last year, in total, we raised more than $2.5 million for our campaign. Nobody in Jefferson City thought that we would be able to raise this much money. And by the way, that was $2.5 million we raised by more than 100,000 individual donations. So my average donation is about $25, compared to a guy like Mike Kehoe that's getting enormous checks from the special interest. His average donation is something $7,000 or $8,000 because he's got a few donors that are very connected in Jefferson City, and he's trying to buy this race. Well, I've got actual everyday folks that are putting in $5, $10, $15 at a time to fund me, helping get my message out. And we are absolutely killing it. And I tell you what, Jay Ashcroft, who didn't, he actually lost money last quarter because his message is so stale and so associated with the status quo that nobody's buying into it. So we feel like we have a tremendous amount of momentum. We're going up in the polls. We've now moved into second place ahead of Mike Kehoe. And, for all those folks down there in Jefferson City, they keep saying, Bill Eigel can't win this race. Bill Eigel could never win this race. They're only saying that because they could never imagine the Missouri that I'm talking about where we're going to get rid of personal property tax. And even though the people in Jefferson City in the hallways of power don't think it's important that we should get rid of personal property tax, as we've discussed here on the radio this morning, there's a heck of a lot of folks that are ready to support a guy like me because I am going to get rid of personal property tax. And Gabe, I'll say one thing. I'm not going to cut personal property taxes, Governor. I want to be clear. I'm getting rid of personal property tax completely, entirely. You will not have to pay rent on your vehicle. But in order to get to that world, we're going to defeat the swamp on August 6th.
All right, State Senator Bill Eigel, let's go ahead and give out the website again. Gabe's smiling over there.
Oh, man.
As well.
Ear to ear.
But, we've already tagged you on the social media, but what's the website people want to get in touch, learn more?
BillEigel.com. Go on there. You can sign up. You can read about the platform. You can read about personal property tax. You can sign up to be a citizen co-sponsor of my bill to eliminate personal property tax on my website. Check it out. We've had 35,000, 40,000 people sign up on the website already. This message. It's going well. Let's go, Missouri.
All right, Bill. Thanks for being back on. Appreciate it. We'll talk to you again soon, my friend.
Thanks, guys. Have a great morning.
All right, 314-912-1019. Let's talk about why we get so fired up about the personal property tax.
Yes, let's do that. Yeah,
because you mentioned something that we've said before, but it's been a little while.
Yeah,
and that is it's an immoral way to tax.
Yes,
and there are people who say, well, it doesn't really matter how we tax. Government has to have money to operate. And what I'm hearing you say, Gabe, is, well, the way you do it matters as well.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's talk about that just ahead right here on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
We give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. Only on News Talk STL. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Are you a natural leader driven by the desire to make a lasting impact? Is your deepest calling to be an elected official making a real difference? Now, picture yourself with the power to shape the future in St. Louis City. St. Louis needs your leadership now more than ever. The urgency is real. The Republican Party, City of St. Louis can help you file, be your guiding force, and support you during the campaign. Contact stlouisrepublicans.com and step into your destiny.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
Tony Colombo here, reminding you to visit my friends at Bluff City Outdoors in Alton before your next trip into the great outdoors. For decades, Bluff City Outdoors has covered all the needs for area fishermen, and they'll always have all the best bait, tackle, and gear for your next trip on the water. And now they cover all your bow hunting needs, including their state-of-the-art indoor archery range and techno hunt system, open every day for you to come shoot, or you can join a league. Follow Bluff City Outdoors on Facebook and learn more at bluffcityoutdoors.com.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the morning brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com.
Hey everybody, it's Rob Carter. Join me on Sunday nights as I challenge our politicians, expose the political press, and analyze pop culture. It's the Rob Carter Show on Sunday nights from 6 to 8 p.m. Now let's get back to the best men's league over 40 backstop in St. Louis. Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right, I guess we can go ahead and make the announcement since we've already posted it online and on social media. Rob has developed a really devoted fan base on his Sunday night show. And I got to tell you something. I started on weekends.
Yes.
It's hard to develop. People are like, I want to hear from this guy.
Mhm.
So starting on January, I believe it's January 29th, right? I think
That's
it's 29th.
correct. Yes.
We are adding Rob Carter. We're taking him off of the weekends, and he is going to be on Monday through Friday starting at 8 p.m. So 8 p.m. to 10 p.m., I believe. The Rob Carter Show now Monday through Friday right here on News Talk STL. I am really stoked about this. I mean, I am seriously stoked about this.
I'm really looking forward to it. Rob's a great guy and very knowledgeable on so many subjects and opinionated.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And so, matter of fact, Rob, if you're listening, I'm going to text you here in a little bit. I want you on the show next week to talk about your new show.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, I mean, when I found out that we're taking Rob Monday through Friday, I cannot begin to tell you how excited. This is almost as excited as I was when I found out we were getting Larry Connors.
Yes, that's another one
as well.
My goodness.
But Larry Connors is Larry Connors. Sorry, Rob. Larry is just Larry.
You got to work a little longer to get to Larry's level, but still, my goodness.
But this is fantastic. So that means, other than the Dan Bongino show from 11 to 2, that this station is live, local. Local.
Yes.
From 5:30 in the morning until 10 o'clock at night.
That's so cool.
We were told this can't be done.
Yeah.
We were told this is impossible to do. And everybody who supports the station has proven that it does work, because not only do we have it and you're listening and you're watching on social media, our advertisers are saying, this is a good response,
This is working,
This
buddy.
is a good audience.
Yes, I love it.
All right, just a couple minutes here. We just talked to State Senator Bill Eigel, obviously running for governor as well.
Yes.
That is going to be up on our podcast here in the next few hours or so. You mentioned something, because one of Bill's big campaign issues, Gabe, is he wants to eliminate the personal property taxes.
Right.
That means your car.
Yes.
That means your farm implements, your trailer,
your horse.
Right. You have to pay the government every year in order to continue to owe what you've got. Like, for instance, my wife's car is paid off. She has fulfilled it. She's paid the whole thing off, paid the loan off. We own it outright.
Right.
But she still has to pay the government a few $100s a year, several $100s a year, in order to keep owning the car.
Right.
And he says we're going to get rid of. You say you want to get rid of personal property taxes. You're not going to get rid of real estate taxes. They're just not going to.
Probably not.
But you're saying, you said this is the most immoral way to tax. Explain what you mean by that.
Okay. So here's the thing, and you mentioned this kind of aspect of things, that your freedom, one of the main aspects of freedom in reality, in America in particular, because it's protected, is property ownership, personal property. If you don't have property, you don't really have the ability to pursue happiness. You don't have true liberty, because you're simply, borrowed out or renting out your livelihood, your life from somebody else, right? So here's the thing. If I pay for something and I completely pay it off, there's no liens, no one else has a claim on the property that I have, the vehicle that I've purchased, then why should I continue to pay anybody else for the usage of that item? Why should this apply to a car any more than it could apply to, I don't know, your stove or your refrigerator?
Yeah.
Or, your clothes. You have to pay personal property tax on the sum total of the value of your clothing. Doesn't that sound crazy and immoral? It's because it is.
Yeah.
No one has a right to charge you for something that you purchased.
Yeah. Now, we're not talking about
after you paid it off.
You have to renew your tags. There's obviously a fee that goes along. We're not talking about
That's
we're not talking
usage.
About,
that's a different thing.
Yeah, that's a usage. That's a license fee. But we're talking about paying rent to the government to continue to own what you already own.
Yeah. That's crazy.
But they say, but government will fall down unless they are able to. We just have to do it. No, I disagree. We can fund government without being that immoral.
This week on News Talk STL.
Iowa, thank you. We love you all.
I don't think he needs to be the next president. I'm going to be the next president.
The big night is going to be in November when we take back our country. We've got our ticket punched out of Iowa. We will go on to get the Republican nomination.
News, analysis, and opinion.
It's about who can step in on day one.
1019 and 94.1.
We want to thank the people of New Hampshire.
News Talk STL.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. Ouch! Well, by wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers. If you administer insulin 3 or more times per day or use an insulin pump, call now and learn how a CGM can help you.
Painless. No more pricking my finger.
No finger pricks.
Convenience. They delivered it free and they took care of all the paperwork.
You can reduce pain right away. Plus, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you spend more time in range. And if you have insurance, you can get a new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. Call now and get free shipping of your new CGM. Plus, we'll bill your insurance for you. 800-432-8150. 800-432-8150. 800-432-8150. That's 800-432-8150.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. Doug and Safe Money Radio is on 3 times every weekend, but in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com or call 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233. Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefontaine, KNVS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Jason Walker. House Republicans halting plans to hold Hunter Biden in contempt of Congress this week for defying a congressional subpoena.
They cited ongoing negotiations with Hunter Biden's attorney over a possible deposition. A contempt resolution against Hunter Biden was scheduled to move through a procedural hearing before it was canceled Tuesday to give the attorneys additional time to reach an agreement. That's according to a spokesperson for the House Oversight Committee. The move comes days after an attorney for President Biden's son indicated a willingness to cooperate with Republicans' ongoing impeachment inquiry following months of defiance. Keith Peters reporting.
Also at townhall.com, at least 2 people have died, scores have been injured following a huge blast in a city in Nigeria. Here's correspondent Karen Chamas.
The massive explosion rocked more than a dozen buildings in Nigeria's southwestern state of Oyo, according to its governor. Rescue workers dug through the rubble in search of those feared trapped. Residents of Ibadan city heard the loud blast at 7:45 in the evening, causing panic as security forces cordoned off the area by morning. Oyo's governor said preliminary investigations showed the blast was caused by explosives stored for use in illegal mining operations. I'm Karen Chamas.
In the meantime, a huge explosion in a fireworks factory in Thailand has claimed the lives of at least 23 employees. Rescue teams say so far no survivors have been found. Cause of that explosion being investigated, and it comes less than a month before Chinese New Year in February, when demand for fireworks is very strong. Officials also say this explosion is at the very same factory in 2022 when a blast killed at least 2 people. More on these stories, townhall.com.
Retirement Outlook.
If your retirement account is mostly stocks or bonds, listen closely. The future of your savings may be more uncertain than ever before. Hi, I'm Paul Stone, CEO of Colonial Metals. The sad truth is, our government continues to eat away at our freedoms and security. In economic times like these, run around the flagpole by lunatics in Washington, I look to the most trusted store of wealth in human history, physical gold and silver that you own. At Colonial Metals, we specialize in helping folks with IRAs and 401ks and other retirement accounts move their savings into physical gold and silver. If you'd like a free gold investment kit, give us a call today at 820-800-8000. My team is standing by ready to rush a free gold investment kit to you. You may also qualify for $7,500 in free silver and a free safe. Call 820-800-8000 now. That's 820-800-8000. 800-8000.
Colonial Metals is not a financial advisor. Consult with your advisor before investing.
That's 820-800-8000.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Well, the Bahamas it is not, but we're trending in a warmer direction. Another cold start, but we'll do some melting this afternoon. Temperatures climb to 38 under mostly sunny skies. Down to 23 tonight. Let's keep an eye out for a few flurries or light snow overnight. Doesn't look like much, but I can't rule out some slick spots tomorrow morning. Then the daylight hours Thursday are dry. We bounce back into the mid-30s. Another chance of light snow Thursday night into Friday morning, and then temperatures crash hard on Friday. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD. Because truth matters.
Let's speak that truth.
Because understanding matters.
Let's break this down.
With all that's happening.
And it's happening a lot faster.
What matters most is...
the only question that matters here.
Are you informed?
Important issues that are facing this country.
Depend on us.
The latest events.
The information you need.
Here are the facts.
When you need it.
We always have great conversations.
You guys have a great radio station.
101.9 and 94.1. News Talk STL.
And when it comes to making the right decision for your family, when it comes to real estate, you're buying a home, you're selling a home, only one thing matters. What is right for your family? What is the best return on investment? What's the best dollar for dollar deal? Because that affects everything else. You're ready to buy a home. You're ready to sell a home. Well, that transaction should not get in the way of you sending your kid to college. It should not get in the way of you having your kids in the district that you want them to be in for their school. It shouldn't get in the way of you being closer to your work or other family members or anything. But so many people don't work with the best, and they end up just taking what they can get. They're told, oh, look at the market. You better grab it real quick. Just take what you can get. It's not what you want, but just go ahead and get it. That happens to people who don't work with Rodney and Jen. Mike Ferguson here for the Wallner home selling team with Berkshire Hathaway. Give them a call, 314-810-SOLD today. 314-810-SOLD today. Let me tell you something. I've known Rodney and Jen now for a few years, and I wouldn't work with anybody else when it comes to real estate. And I've mentioned over the years we've had, my wife and I are working on a real estate purchase for kind of a getaway home. But one of the reasons that it's taken so long is because when I first brought this to Rodney and Jen, Rodney gave me some comparables. He said, here's what to consider. We really learned a lot. And then he goes, Mike, I would wait if I were you. He said, I think the market conditions are going to improve for you. So he literally said, let's not do this right now, even though they would have made money on this, because it was the right thing for me and my wife to say, just hold off. I think there's going to be a better time. Well, now it looks like that time is about here. So give them a call today, 314-810-SOLD. That's the kind of honesty you want. That's the kind of ethics that you want. There's a reason Rodney and Jen sell so many more homes than most any other real estate agent in St. Louis. Any other real estate, they sell upwards of 15 times more. And the reason is because they invest in the people they serve. They give you guidance. They don't push you into a deal that you don't want. They give you guidance and empower you to make the right decision for yourself and for your family. The bottom line is they care about people. They care about the people they serve. And that's how they do business, by providing the service. You're not going to find anybody more knowledgeable than Rodney and Jen in St. Louis. Give them a call today. That's my challenge. Call them, 314-810-SOLD. Tell them your situation. Talk to them for a few minutes, and you're going to find out that's why Mike works with Rodney and Jen Wallner.
The Democrat Party is going to have to go back toward the center.
News, analysis, and opinion.
I've never called a talk show before, but this just irked me.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson.
We the people.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
It's not rocket science. Rocket science.
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm? Get up! Get up! Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
We like the critters.
We love the
critters. We like
critters.
animals.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an animal lover.
Same.
Gabe sometimes makes fun of me because when my reels on Facebook pop up, it's usually one of three things, right?
Yeah, it's like baseball, rock, something or other.
Yeah, rock music.
Rock music from the 80s, specifically.
Of course, the best kind.
And then like baby tigers.
Yeah.
Basically baby tigers.
Yeah.
It's like not even just all animals in general, like baby tigers.
Baby tigers, baby lions. There
yeah.
was a little baby chimpanzee. They just because I click on those and I watch those and I'll show my wife. I'm like, hey, I want a baby lion now. And she's like, those things grow up and eat people, right? I'm like, I don't care, but look at that face. I love animals.
Yes.
I really do.
They're adorable.
And so we're coming up on the 50-year mark of some federal legislation designed to protect animals. How is it working out? Because when government steps in to help, we only have good results from it, right?
Right, yeah. I mean, it's not scary when somebody shows up and says, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
All right, it is 8:08 right now. I'm Mike Ferguson. All right, joined now by Dr. Bonner Cohen from CFACT, and we'll get to what that is here in just a minute. Big milestone anniversary of the legislation that was supposed to protect all of the creatures great and small. And Bonner, it's interesting because so many people would say, well, of course we had to have that legislation because otherwise we would have depleted many of our wildlife and our natural resources. But there's some new information, some new research that says, yeah, maybe they didn't work as intended. What's going on?
No, it did not work as intended, or in a bizarre way. Actually, it did, but it didn't work in the way that the lawmakers who voted for the Endangered Species Act in 1973, they didn't realize what they were voting for. We've just celebrated, we being the federal government, the 50th anniversary of President Richard Nixon's signing into law the Endangered Species Act, which we were told would enable us to save at-risk species, both animals and plants. But the manner in which the law goes about that is almost guaranteed to put those species at risk. How? Because what it does is it sets aside on land, and it can be public or private, where a species at risk, whether threatened or the more serious designation endangered, is thought to be present. And what happens is there are very strict land use restrictions that are applied to that land in the name of creating something called critical habitat for the species at risk. And by the way, that's open-ended, which means that a species, once it's on the list and once a critical habitat has been designated, it can take years or even decades before bureaucrats administering the program say, the species has been recovered, and we can now remove it from the list, and you then get to use your land as you wish. But the problem here is some 1,667 species have been put on the endangered species list, and according to federal data, 62, or roughly 3%, have been quote-unquote recovered. Well, it turns out that the data underlying that figure of 62 are incorrect, and the people who put out that data also knew it was incorrect. Why? Because of those 62 species that we were told were recovered, 36 were put on the Endangered Species Act by error because they were never endangered to begin with. But when the federal bureaucrats finally get around to realizing that this lizard or this snake or this plant or whatever it is really isn't endangered because we've discovered a lot more than we thought were there originally, they then trumpet that as a recovery, when in fact it was no recovery at all, but was the result of an error made by biologists and other bureaucrats at the Department of Interior's Fish and Wildlife Service and the Department of Commerce's National Marine Fisheries Institute. Meanwhile, and this is the real bad part about the Endangered Species Act, the landowners, they can be farmers, ranchers, fruit growers, what have you, who have the misfortune of having endangered species on their land, and part of that land is then designated a critical habitat, well, they lose all use of that land, which means they can't grow crops on it. They can't do the other things that contribute to their earning their livelihood. This is actually, if you think about it constitutionally, this is a taking of their private property under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution, which states that no land shall be taken, no property shall be taken without just compensation. To get no just compensation whatsoever.
Good morning, Bonner. Gabe Pfeiffer here. So, I believe the Endangered Species Act is administered by the Department of Conservation or EPA, right? And
not EPA. It's Department of Interior.
Interior. Okay, so
agency within Interior called the Fish and Wildlife Service.
Right, Fish and Wildlife.
And then, if we're talking about a creature that is in the sea, the Department of Commerce's Marine Fisheries Service has oversight of that.
Okay.
EPA, oddly, is not involved in this.
That's interesting.
That is strange.
For which we can be grateful.
Yes, I suppose so. Because one of the things I wanted to bring up was the idea of this administrative overreach that has become a big factor in the what we've been talking about in politics lately. I imagine there are many stories in which the Endangered Species Act has been used to kind of to hurt industries and certainly destroy people's ability to make a living, like you just said.
Yes, and oddly, that's exactly what it was designed to do. The members of Congress who voted for that thing back in 1973 thought they were saving whales, eagles, and what have you. But the way the act was written, it was designed to be a land use mechanism under the guise of protecting at-risk species. And none other than the people who drafted the bill, and these typically are congressional staffers who write our laws, one of them openly acknowledged this 20 years after the act had been signed into law by President Nixon, that it was actually not about saving species whatsoever, was about simply getting control of the land. And you're absolutely right. The economic effects of this on the landowner and the surrounding community can be absolutely devastating. And ironically, it turns that landowner against the species, because the last thing you want if you're a rural landowner in the United States is to have an endangered species on your land, because that means you're going to lose the use of that land or part of that land for an indefinite period of time. There used to be an expression that went around: if you have an endangered species on your land, shoot, shovel, and shut up. In other words, don't acknowledge it, because if you do, you're going to come under the control of the Endangered Species Act, which, by the way, and this gets to the other point you've just raised, an awful lot of environmental groups are absolutely delighted to do. They're the ones who bring suit to say that we need to save species X. What they're really trying to do is not save species X, but to make sure that economic use of land, particularly of things they don't like fossil fuel development or mining for this, that, and the other, if that can be stopped, then that is a win for them. But it is a huge loss for rural Americans.
All right, the article you can find right now at dailycaller.com is this landmark conservation bill has been an abject failure for 50 years. I've already posted it in the chat box on our Rumble. We'll get that up on other social media. We're visiting with Dr. Bonner Cohen. Bonner, real quick then, so is there a way to preserve legitimately endangered species without violating property rights of landowners and others? Because like I said at the beginning, I like animals. I don't want animals to go extinct, although the natural cycle is it just happens sometimes. So is there a way to more effectively reach that goal of protecting wildlife and being good stewards while protecting our rights at the same time?
Yes, absolutely. Simply provide farmers, ranchers, and other rural property owners incentives to work cooperatively with federal authorities to save the species. The farmers and ranchers are no more animal haters than you are. They would like to have them there, provided, of course, their livelihoods are not endangered by the restrictions that the current the Endangered Species Act forces upon them. So yes, as a matter of fact, we couldn't have come up with a worse way to do this, because it's made the species at risk, ones who are legitimately at risk, well, they become enemies of landowners, and they should actually become partners. Let's work together to save the endangered species. But that's not the system we have. And what that system has also resulted in is institutionalized dishonesty on the part of the federal bureaucrats who administer this, the ones who say the species has been recovered when they know quite well it has not been recovered, because in many cases they shouldn't have been put on the endangered species list to begin with. And one of the things you don't want, one of the things we saw during the pandemic in a completely different area of public policy, but simply systematic dishonesty, and that is not something that is good for most Americans.
All right, you can learn more about Committee for a Constructive Tomorrow, or CFACT, at cfact.org. All right, Dr. Bonner Cohen, good chat with you again. Thanks so much. Giving people a whole different look, because for a lot of people, this law isn't even controversial until they look back and see what the actual results are.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
All right, 314-912-1019. You see what I was warning you about, Gabe?
Oh, yeah, his voice.
I'm like, the only thing I don't like about Bonner is I work in radio, and his voice is so much better
It's
than
better
mine.
than all of ours,
Fair.
basically.
The guy's smart, and he has a great voice.
Seriously, that's not
Feels
fair.
like he should start reading the Bible.
I know.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Yep. Okay, so...
FYI, speaking of great voices, it's James Earl Jones' birthday today.
Oh, all right.
Yep, he's 93 years old.
Classic.
Yes,
Classic.
absolutely.
Okay, so here's what we're going to do. I got the news roundup coming your way here in just a minute. Then right around 8:35, let's step on some sacred cows.
Okay.
Let's talk about how we're going to talk about the presidential race, especially amid disagreement on the right.
Sacred cow barbecue. Let's go. I like brisket.
Sacred cow barbecue. Let's do it at 8:35. And I'm telling you, somebody in here is going to say something you disagree with and you don't like. Mm-hmm. Are we strong enough to have the conversation?
If they say it, someone will disagree.
This is the place to do it. 8:35.
We give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. Only on News Talk STL.
You want to give me more information. You want to take the place of what I trust.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
You look for some answers, for false impressions. Well, baby, they will last forever.
I got an email which brought a smile. A woman named Mary wrote me, "We are purchasing a new roof from John Beal based on your recommendation." I thanked her then. I do it again now. Mary, I only endorse clients I believe in. And I've been a spokesman for John Beal for 10 years. It's all about trust. So if, like Mary, you need John Beal, trust me. Call 1-800-NEW-ROOF. 1-800-NEW-ROOF.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Jim Talent, former U.S. Senator.
So it's been my belief for some time that we should be financing or supporting them. Would then include Ukraine eventually entering NATO. But that requires real purpose and planning and direction from the executive branch, and we haven't had it.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Tony Colombo here for Cadre Asset Management. A cadre is defined as a small group of people specially trained for a particular purpose or profession, and that is the role that Cadre Asset Management can play in your financial journey. Learn more about how they can help secure your financial future by following Cadre Asset Management on Facebook, or just go to cadreassetmgmt.com.
Cadre Asset Management is a Missouri-based independent advisory firm licensed under and securities and investment advisory services offered through Founders Financial Securities, LLC, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC.
Hi, everybody. It's your buddy Todd Showalter, along with my buddy Joey V from The Right Mind Show. You know how they always say new year, new me? Well, we don't say any of those stupid things here. But you know what? Every week we do have a new guest right here on The Right Mind Show. Isn't that right, Joey V?
Stop being so stupid and forgetful. Put it on your calendar. Saturday,
Saturdays, 5 p.m., Right Mind Show. Get in your car, don't drive anywhere, just look at the radio until sound comes out.
And if you do miss a show because you're watching Matlock at that time, make sure to tune in to rightmindshow.com. That's rightmindshow.com for all the show replays. And plus, what better things do you have to do on a Saturday at 5 o'clock?
You can't buy a best friend. You can love them, walk them, pet them, and care for them, whether they want you to or not. You can take a picture or 50. You can fly to the moon, travel the world, or just stay in bed. You can't buy a best friend like that, but you can adopt one. There are millions of pets waiting for a best friend just like you. Help us save them all at bestfriends.org.
Live and local.
Well, here's what's on my mind. I think I got the solution to immigration.
News Talk STL. News, analysis, opinion.
Bill O'Reilly here. Check out the O'Reilly Update this afternoon at 3:45. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
All right, City Hall decides to back down and not punish a church that's protecting people from the elements. Okay. Could Anthony Fauci actually be brought to justice for his lies?
Really?
Maybe.
Yeah, I doubt it.
There's still a push for it. I think you're right. Yeah.
He lied? I don't remember that.
Don't question anything. And the Blues are drawing blood today, and I'm not talking about the old-fashioned enforcers on the ice.
Oh, just what's going on?
I will tell you in a minute.
Okay.
Just hold your horses.
All
over there.
right.
All right, it's 8:24 right now. Okay, and it's still ahead here. 8:35. Listen, I want to have this conversation. I'm kind of tired of media doing the pundit thing and not having real conversations. When we talk about the presidential race, the Republican presidential race, because obviously we're seeing life through a conservative lens here, is what we like to say at News Talk STL. There are things that we're warned not to say. Don't critique that person. Don't criticize what they say. Don't violate the tribe. Don't make that group of political activists upset. And I just got to thinking about it over and over, and I'm thinking, why are we holding back from having real conversations? I don't think we should hold back. But the trade-off on that, Gabe,
right?
And I want to talk about this starting at 8:35.
Okay.
Is that you have to risk being offended a little bit. You have to risk a real conversation. You have to risk hearing somebody who disagrees with you and risk getting your emotions riled up a little bit to have those real conversations. And I'm just kind of tired of this norm and tired of this trend in media in general, but in conservative media too, that says, well, listen, let's figure out, who would get upset and don't say that.
Right.
And so 8:35, let's have that conversation. It involves Ron DeSantis, it involves Nikki Haley, it involves the RNC, it involves Donald Trump, it involves, and so let's show that we can have these grown-up conversations and disagree about stuff and still call out things on people on our side.
And still be okay.
And be okay and be honest about it.
Yeah.
So I just want to have the real conversation. So we're going to start that at 8:35.
Okay.
Love to know what you think. So we'll be watching social media and also 314-912-1019. A lot of folks, I mentioned this a little bit earlier, just a lot of conversation about it on Rumble, and I think it's a really good thing. Okay, news stuff. Just a quick note, we are going to get a short break from the extreme cold. Temperatures are going to be in the mid-30s today and tomorrow.
Wow, 30s.
I know that sounds like balmy.
Yes, seriously.
Oh, hit the beach.
Yes.
It's shorts weather already. Gosh.
But I saw a guy in Costco yesterday walking around in shorts.
Yeah.
Probably a Packers fan.
Probably. And the weird part was Rachel and I were checking out at Costco.
Yeah.
And the guy works there. And he's walking around, he's got shorts on. And I looked at the cashier and I'm like, he knows it's 5 degrees outside, right? And she looked at me and she goes, I've never seen that guy wear pants.
Oh, wow.
And she goes, I don't get it.
He's pulling a Fetterman.
He is. But seriously, get your errands done today and tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because then we're back into single-digit low temperatures. Especially, you may want to run by your local car repair place and ask them for a tire pressure check.
Yes, absolutely.
I think almost everybody has low tire pressure right now because of how cold it is.
Yes.
And most of them will do it either for free or for just a couple of bucks or something. But you definitely want to do that. And then next week looks like it's a little more normal, but then still you say it looks like there's another another system moving in.
I was looking at some charts for the middle of next week, and there's a whole section of rain from Tuesday through Friday. At least a 50% chance for rain.
And
each day.
that's when those single-digit lows come in, and then later in the week, as it stands right now, it's actually going to get up to the 40s again.
Oh,
so
wow.
we're going to get one not a big punch, but like a little jab.
Right.
So this was a big punch.
Yes.
That was Winter Storm Finn that just came through.
Okay.
Because we have to name everything.
That we're still in, I guess, because of the polar vortex that we're
Yes.
under
Polar
right now.
vortex sounds a lot cooler.
I love all the names. I
know.
do.
I mean, but is there a limit to it? I mean, it's going to be like, that is Mud Puddle Kathy. I mean, are we going to name it every
What's the limitation, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
I mean,
My wife's laughing right now.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. Oh, shoot. I didn't mean that. Okay.
But the next storm coming up is Winter Storm Indigo.
Indigo, right.
That's
okay.
the next one.
Jeez.
So we're in the eyes already.
That is cloud cover Julio. Okay, the House of Representatives, they are actually delaying their plans to hold Hunter Biden in contempt of Congress.
Why?
As of right now. Okay, here's why. Because they are negotiating a deal to try to get him to come in and testify. So there are Democrats negotiating on behalf of Hunter Biden to try to save, I guess, the embarrassment, or to try. They're literally politically negotiating a guy who refused to show up for a congressional subpoena.
Right. So they're using the contempt charge as a wedge, or I guess they're leveraging.
The Republicans
leveraging
are. They're like, this guy's in contempt of Congress.
Well, yeah. I mean, they want to just hold him in contempt and be done with it. But I think the Democrats are saying, hey, let's kind of bargain ship this whole thing. It's like, we can bring him in if you actually want to talk to him, but you have to drop the charge. But
or he does come in and it looks like a mafia meeting.
Right.
Oh, gosh. Well, I think it's going to be that way anyway.
So Congressman Andy Biggs, Republican out of Arizona, was on Fox Business Network's The Evening Edit, and he says, let's get this guy in. I've got a lot of questions.
I want to know why they have so many shell corporations, why grandkids were getting money. I also want to know, quite frankly, I want his phone records, and I would like to know who he called from Dubai from that hotel when the CEO of Burisma asked him.
Yeah, well, it's probably a Russian hooker. But anyway, that's, okay, but here's the thing. In the interest of keeping it real here, I mean, the reality is that the Republicans in Congress, in the end, I don't think they care what Hunter Biden does as he wastes his life.
Yeah.
If they didn't think that there was evidence there to show wrongdoing by Joe Biden, they wouldn't give a crap about Hunter Biden.
Oh, no.
This is about looking to see if there's something impeachable with Joe Biden.
Yes. I mean, and honestly, as they should, because the thing is, there's a lot of smoke there. You know, like the Hunter Biden laptop, one of the main issues of it coming out in the first place was the references to the big guy, was, the selling of what appeared to be the family name to foreign powers. So that's an important aspect of it. If he's just Hunter Biden, son of the I don't know,
former.
even a former
or son of a CEO of a company.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So nobody cares as much as they do when we're talking about the actual VPs and then president of the United States.
So I think we're going to see some kind of movement this week.
And the fact that it's not only a company like Burisma, but it's also associated with Ukraine.
Mm-hmm. While we're involved with them on some level. Yeah, I mean, that's significant.
Yep. Okay, because I'm running a little behind here.
Sorry.
The rest of these here. Senator Rand Paul, one of the good guys, he is calling for former U.S. Chief Medical Advisor Anthony Fauci to be thrown behind bars for his dishonesty in handling everything related to COVID-19 and lying to Congress. Behind bars, go to jail.
Go directly to jail. Do not pack SCO. Do not collect $200.
I'm on board with this. Now, I think we should give him a fair trial with a robust defense and then throw his ass in jail.
Absolutely.
He was interviewed on, he being Rand Paul, was on Fox's Ingram Angle, and he says, there's a lot of questions, especially after that recent testimony by Fauci in a House committee hearing.
Everything they blamed the right on, vaccine hesitancy, not trusting government officials, the loss of trust in government, I told them over and over again, and I still continue to tell them, it is at their feet.
And Fauci and Francis Collins are at the point now where they are admitting Yeah, we didn't really have the information. Yeah, we were making stuff up as we were going along. Yeah, we just pulled it out of a particular orifice.
That just sort of appeared.
Yeah.
Like that was literally testimony. Like, yeah, that whole 6 feet thing, that's just kind of appeared.
Yeah. And that was Francis Collins making a lot of those comments, former head of the NIH. And I'm amazed that Dr. Science, Mr. Fauci, I guess science affects your memory because he can't remember anything.
I love that in that testimony, that House testimony that Rand Paul was referencing there. Anthony Fauci said, I can't recall or I don't remember like 100 times. By the way, Anthony Fauci now has a memoir he's trying to sell you for a guy who can't remember anything in his life. So go buy the book, even though he says he can't remember anything.
Page 1.
I don't
recall
what
happened here,
happened.
but something important did.
I became the science at an early age.
Became the science.
The hand of God came down
and
anointed him.
Yes. The science.
The head of science.
You are the science.
All right. Edwardsville City Hall backs down. I guess they figured out that threatening a church while the church is sheltering vulnerable people from life-threatening freezing temperatures is a bad look, I would think.
Yeah, you guys are dumb.
Yeah. The city has suspended the citations issued against First Baptist Church, and as a result, they've canceled the $750 daily fines that they were trying to impose on the church. Tomorrow's court date, because they were trying to drag the church into municipal court for literally caring for people without a permit.
So they don't freeze to death.
Right, so they don't freeze to death, but you didn't get the government's permission. City Hall backs off, and they just said, we're done, we're out of it, we're not. The church in this situation simply said, we're not participating. You don't have the right to tell us that. We're going to stay in our lane. You stay in yours. Edwardsville First Baptist Church did everything, from what I can tell. They did it right.
I want more details.
Yeah.
I want more details on this because we need to replicate it everywhere, every time the government does this.
And like you said, they weren't William Wallace. They didn't go to war.
Right.
They didn't put the face paint on. They didn't get out the pitchforks. They just simply said, we know where our lane is. We know where our rights are. Government, you will step back.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
government did.
Absolutely.
Okay, real quick here. The Blues are hosting their annual blood drive today.
Yay.
17th annual blood drive. There are 10 locations around the metro area, both sides of the state line. They're accepting donations from noon until 6 p.m. Now, if you want to donate at the Enterprise Center, so you want to be close to the Blues, you can do that from 9:30 until 2:30. Otherwise, it's noon to 6. Get more information at the Blues website and get more information on their social media pages as well. Okay.
If you're claiming that you bleed blue, they're going to check.
They're going to find out. They really are. That's a great point.
You're bleeding red.
And the funny part is that when they actually draw the blood, it is blue.
It's pretty dark, yeah.
It comes up. Okay, just ahead here. Can you critique your own side, regardless of who the candidate is, and still have that adult conversation? Because what happens is certain candidates, and I'm talking about Donald Trump here, who get critiqued by anybody in the media, and people get really angry.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, all the candidates have pros and cons.
Yeah.
The bigger picture is, can we talk about what's happening in the news and on our side without falling apart into a battle royale? So let's talk about how we talk about it. And here's my tease to keep you on board. Something somebody in this room says is probably going to piss you off.
Yep.
But are we strong enough to have those conversations? I'm tired of tiptoeing around it. Let's just talk about it. You're curious? Let's do it here in about 2.5 minutes on 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
Like us on Facebook at News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson in the morning. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Well, the Bahamas it is not, but we're trending in a warmer direction. Another cold start, but we'll do some melting this afternoon. Temperatures climb to 38 under mostly sunny skies. Down to 23 tonight. Let's keep an eye out for a few flurries or light snow overnight. Doesn't look like much, but I can't rule out some slick spots tomorrow morning. Then the daylight hours Thursday are dry. We bounce back into the mid-30s. Another chance of light snow Thursday night into Friday morning, and then temperatures crash hard on Friday. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Angie's List is now Angie, and we've heard a lot of theories about why.
I thought it was an eco move. Fewer words, less paper.
No, it was so you could say it faster.
No, it's to be more iconic.
Must be a tech thing.
But those aren't quite right. It's because now you can compare upfront prices, book a service instantly, and even get your project handled from start to finish.
Sounds easy.
It is, and it makes us so much more than just a list. Get started at Angie.com. That's ANGI, or download the app today.
Ackerman Toyota had a great 2023, so Jay asked me to thank you for all of your support. Loyal customers making Ackerman Toyota #1 in St. Louis Toyota sales. #1 out of the 75 Toyota dealers in the region in Camry and Corolla sales. Ackerman has the lowest prices, great selection. Visit Ackerman at Hampton and 44 or online, AckermanToyota.com. Ackerman Toyota, for life.
Major phone carriers make you sign contracts with rigid data plans to trap you into a kind of forced phonogamy. Sounds pretty insecure if you ask me. At Consumer Cellular, we believe in a more consensual and healthy form of phonogamy, free of contracts and more flexible to your data needs. This way, you stick around not because we force you to with contracts and fees, but because you love our phone plans. Like ardently love our phone plans. Phonogamously. Consumer Cellular. When freedom calls, we're here to answer. Call us at 1-888-FREEDOM.
You still thinking job change in the new year?
Yeah, I need something that's in high demand and more stable in this economy.
IT?
Yeah, cybersecurity, maybe even AI.
That's what I did.
Really? How?
Went to My Computer Career. You don't need any prior experience, and you could start your new career in a matter of months. A lot of IT pros go to school there, too, to level up.
Sweet. Are classes online or on campus?
Both.
Wow, I'll check it out. Thanks.
Make this your year. Take the free career evaluation now at mycomputercareer.edu. Financial aid is available for qualified students, including the GI Bill.
This is what's happening.
These are individuals that were known terrorists that we have caught crossing the southern border. Texas has a right to secure their borders and secure their state because this administration is failing to do that.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Hi, this is Kira Davis, and you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
Okay, I just took all my notes in my prep and I just stacked them up and just pushed them away.
Yeah.
Just to let people know. If you're watching this on Rumble or Facebook or YouTube or whatever, you can see that as well. I've just been thinking about, really this goes back years, okay, Gabe, still. Mm-hmm. And that is how the dynamics have changed on the right over the past several years.
How we have our internal conversation.
And yes, let's be honest that the lightning rod for a lot of this is Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that lightning rod can bring some really good stuff. Challenging old, the sacred cows and everything that's happened with that. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, the way that this has kind of evolved. And by the way, I am not making a case for or against any candidate.
Right.
Whether it's Trump or DeSantis or Haley or
we're not talking about elections at this
I'm not
point.
talking about this, but I'm talking about how we talk about it. When I say we, I mean those of us particularly on the right, although everybody is welcome to be a part of the conversation here. And so I just kind of got to thinking, I'm tired of trying to be overly strategic and dancing around topics and critiques.
Right. Yeah. So, because I mean, just to say it outright, there are times where Donald Trump says something or he does something that is particularly bad and like essentially indefensible. It's like if anyone else had done the thing or said the thing, we would be all over him, but we give him a pass. And I think that's a problem.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I just got to think to myself. I'm starting to find and you know what? Everybody in conservative media is doing this, whether they admit it or not. I'm just going to go on there and admit it. Is that we are covering this differently than before, and we're not talking about Donald Trump and covering Donald Trump the same way we do other candidates. In part because we're afraid of pissing off MAGA.
In part,
and I don't think we should. I don't think anybody should do that. And part of that is we shouldn't be afraid to have a good faith conversation. And there are a lot of people who also need to chill out a little bit to say, no, we can have a conversation about the flaws in a candidate. We can have a conversation about those things. It doesn't mean because somebody disagrees or critiques that they hate you or their guy.
Right.
But that's where we are. We talk about the divide between right and left in this country.
Mm-hmm.
The tribalism within the right, the tribalism within the tribe is also unhealthy and toxic.
It's growing too.
Yeah. 314-912-1019. I just want to point out that on Rumble here, Blues Nut says, I don't think we can have an agreement about the conversation about the disagreement on disagreeing about the disagreement.
Well,
I'm afraid you're right, Blues Nut.
Your
That's
intolerance will not be tolerated.
That's right. Okay, but seriously, and again, yes, it's kind of about Donald Trump, but it's not really about Donald Trump. I mentioned in the past few weeks because there have been some things that Donald Trump says. He just does what Donald Trump does. And he says things that if anybody else had said it, Republican or Democrat, the world is on fire with headlines. But on our side, we tend to go, boy, it's really going to make part of our listener base upset if we just even point it out or critique it.
But let me take a step outside of the presidential area
right.
just for a second. If you flip it, Biden, Pelosi, Schumer, and all of those folks have made derogatory and stupid comments, as in my estimation, as much as Trump has. But because the media is in their pocket, we don't hear much about it because MSNBC, CNN, all the legacy and mainstream media just decides, we're not going to cover it.
So we're all over that when they say that. Now, the only reason that people don't hear it a lot with MSNBC is because nobody watches MSNBC. I mean,
I should have said, MSNBC.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
But the mainstream media, the big boys and gals, they absolutely they go after, Trump more so than anybody else because they go after him unfairly a lot. What's happened is we become reactionary.
Yeah.
And we're like, well, any critique is clearly an attack.
Right.
And they go after DeSantis as well. DeSantis's, supporters don't have the same reaction, but they get defensive. Nikki Haley's supporters aren't the same group of people anyway. And so, again, I'm trying to just keep this as real as possible, and I know I'm going to make somebody uncomfortable, but that's okay. That's what we're supposed to do when we talk about tough stuff. Let me give an example, a couple examples. Over the past few weeks, there was a school shooting in Iowa, like right leading up to the Iowa caucuses. It turns out it got kind of hushed a little bit because the school shooter was in the whole LGBT non-binary, and so that one got hush-hushed. They tried to make it a headline story. Look, another school. Oh boy, that doesn't go.
A bit similar to Nashville.
Very similar to Nashville.
Yep.
And it went away real fast. But while that was in the headlines, Donald Trump's at one of his rallies, and one of the things that he said off the cuff is he goes, "Well, you just got to get over it." Okay, well, if Nikki Haley said that. We're losing our stuff over here.
Yeah.
If Joe Biden or Nancy Pelosi or Hakeem Jeffries or Claire McCaskill or anybody said that, we're not having the same result. Donald Trump said it. I didn't even talk about it because I'm like, well, that's going to make him mad, and I'm tired of doing that.
Yeah.
And then that's on me. And another thing that he said within the last week is he said he hopes the U.S. economy crashes.
Yeah, and when who
it
was
crashes
that?
This year.
Yeah, this year.
Because he doesn't want to be blamed for it.
And I remember, who was it? It was Bill Maher, I think, had said something similar during the Trump administration. He's like, I hope the economy does badly because I don't want Trump to get reelected. And we rightly lambasted him for that.
Now, here's the thing is I understand Trump's going to Trump. Okay, it's one of the reasons that people don't like him. It's one of the reasons people love him. I'm not critiquing whether that's your candidate or not. I mean, here in like 20 minutes, you got Vic and Ken, who are the most vocal and strongest Trump supporters you're going to find in St. Louis. And you know what? Great, fine. Tim Jones, huge Donald Trump supporter. Chris Arps has a little different view. That's what makes their show so interesting. So, but we can critique what's happening, and we shouldn't have to tiptoe around people being angry because you questioned somebody who nobody's above being questioned. Nobody's above being critiqued. This is what we do in media. This is how we hold people accountable.
Right.
And we should be holding our side accountable. Listen, if the caucuses were today, I would vote for Ron DeSantis. And if he's still in the race come March, that's what I'm going to do. There are still things I disagree with Ron DeSantis. I just happen to think he's the best, most conservative choice. That doesn't mean I hate anybody else. But I guarantee you, somebody just turned off the radio when I said that right now. We're in St. Louis.
Got really
or somebody
mad.
on the app just closed the app. Because I said I like this candidate and not that candidate. We've got to be stronger and better than that. And I guarantee you right now, no other conservative media in this area is having this conversation.
On social media in particular, I've seen a very sharp rise in internecine violence, we'll say, between people on the right, because you've got your DeSantis people and you've got your Trump people. For the most part, those are the two main groups that I've been seeing recently going at it. And it went quickly from I am for DeSantis to I am for DeSantis and against Trump. And it went quickly from I am for Trump to I am for Trump and against DeSantis.
Right.
And the criticisms they keep lobbing at each other are very similar to what we would be upset about somebody else coming in and so it's like, come on, guys, can't we have a real conversation about which one of these is the better candidate? Just stand on that. You don't have to demonize the candidates and one another while you're at it.
And the bigger picture is right now the dynamics are you're not supposed to do that.
Yeah.
And that really troubles me. Part of what we should be doing, and I'm not talking about conservative talk radio.
Yeah.
I mean, all of us, center right to far right.
Yep.
Within reason.
Yeah.
There's some fringy folks out there that I don't care what you have to say.
We'll say what the left calls far right.
Yeah.
which is just right.
If we're not able to debate and wrestle and have the conversations and hold our own accountable, then guess what? They're going to.
Yeah.
Listen, there are things that every politician and every candidate gets wrong sometimes. There are flaws. You cannot debate the fact that Donald Trump personally is a deeply flawed human being.
Right.
Now, there's a lot of people who find that endearing about him. They're like, he's just like us,
which I find weird. I mean, but I can get you saying, a person saying, okay, we're going to overlook this because of these positives, because that's kind of what you do with people. But I don't get the people who are like, no, but that's cool.
Right. Here's the thing, though, for the left, who's finally somebody saying, hey, look at that. Ferguson's slamming Trump for being, a flawed human being. Hey, guess what John Kennedy was? Guess what Lyndon Baines Johnson was? I mean, these guys were personal lives to say they were flawed doesn't even begin to cover.
Understatement. Like that's pretty much all everybody who runs and gets into that highest office. I just assume that they are deeply flawed people. We just may not see it all.
So we need to be realistic about it. And I'm just kind of worn out trying to say, okay, I'm going to back into a discussion based on, am I going to make somebody uncomfortable because I might be critiquing their sacred cow, whatever that sacred cow is.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we need to be comfortable at the sacred cow barbecue. It's like, hey, look, you want some brisket? I got some brisket.
Right.
You want some beef tips? We can do that too. Look, I'm also tired of the sacred cows. I mean, but at the same time, I'm also like, okay, while we do this, like while we are barbecuing this, we didn't put the cow on a stake and burn it for light. We're at a barbecue. We're actually having fun with this. We're actually, trying to socialize with. That's kind of why I refer to it that way. It's us dealing with this in a more friendly sort of way.
Okay, so 314-912-1019. Let's keep this going because I think Stell's chomping at the bit here to get in on the Sacred Cow Barbecue.
Yeah.
But I know we need to do 314-912-1019. What do you want to hear from us? How do you want us to talk about this? Because I want to engage as many people as possible. And you know what? There are some people who say, I'm with this candidate. What I want is for you to support this candidate.
Right. Well, I mean,
and do not criticize them no matter what.
You can want that, and please ask.
But
right
if that's what
we
you
want to
think
talk to you,
because there are people who say we have to unify, and that means you can't look at the flaws anywhere.
Right.
If that's what you want, then tell me and let's talk about it. I'm not afraid to do that.
Yeah.
If you want us to call balls and strikes, if you want us to debate our different candidates, Stell likes Donald Trump. I like Ron DeSantis. I mean, if that's as long as it's a real conversation, let's have it.
Yeah.
Because folks need to realize that the foundation of our country is free speech. And if you can't talk without people lambasting you and canceling you and doing everything to destroy your life, then free speech is gone.
I can't believe you just said that.
I'm so mad right now.
Yeah. All right, 314-912-1019. This is 1019-94.1 News Talk STL. Let us know what you think. Social media, give us a call. Let's do it. Let's just have that conversation, even if it makes some people uncomfortable. I'm tired of not enough conservatives being real on this.
Follow us on Rumble at News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson in the morning.
We all know the healthcare system's broken. It's not about you. It's about the code, the bill, the 7-minute appointment. Hi, it's Dr. Randy Tobler, and I've developed a better way. It restores old-fashioned values with a holistic approach to your health care. That means affordable, available, no copay or deductible primary care. And with my 30-plus years as an OBGYN, there's added value for women and couples. Whether it's a new or nagging problem, you need a second look at a troubling diagnosis, or simply want a trusting, relationship-based healthcare experience, give us a look at Body of Health Direct Primary Care. Our mission is to provide exceptional, accessible, and truly affordable care where the focus is on you, not insurance denial and cookbook medicine experts. And with your membership, there's a number of perks, including hundreds of free meds, in-office ultrasound, common diagnostic tests, and more. Interested in seeing me or learning more about healthcare the way it ought to be? Schedule an appointment or a discovery call at bodyofhealth.com. That's bodyofhealth.com.
Getting a new floor for your home can be intimidating and a little scary, but that's not the case when you go to Michael's Flooring Outlet. Katie here, and my mom and dad used Michael's, and they had a great experience. They've been a locally owned and operated family business for more than 30 years. You want variety? Michael's has carpet, hardwood, laminate, ceramic tile, luxury vinyl, natural stone, and many other options. Shop in-store at one of their 3 locations in Creve Coeur, Dardine Prairie, or St. Peters. Check out everything that Michael's has to offer at igotfloored.com.
Columbo and Katie.
This week has been dominated by national headlines, but there's a lot going on locally as well. On Wednesday, we'll discuss the latest from Jeff City with Rodney Boyd at 2:20. Then we'll have some fun and open closest cabinet at 3:05.
Weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
Hey, this is Todd Showalter. Join me on Saturday at 5 as I try to put some fun back into this dysfunctional radio station. It's The Right Mind Show with me, Todd Showalter, at 5 on Saturday. And, you know, speaking of dysfunctional, let's get back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Okay, here's the reality is I've got 4 minutes. 4 minutes until the information segment, and then Vic Porcelli comes in. If you're just joining us, okay, here's what's going on, is we just kind of evolved into a topic here that says there's a lot of people tap dancing around landmines because we don't want to bring on the wrath of people within the center to right pseudo coalition. So we're afraid to talk about tough stuff. We're afraid to critique.
Right.
You know, whether it's you're afraid to make somebody mad who's, you know, a DeSantis supporter, if you're afraid to make MAGA mad, you know, by critiquing something Donald Trump says. You know, and I think that the bigger picture here is that, especially in conservative media, especially in talk radio, if we can't hash out the disagreements, give ourselves and other people something to talk about, then what the hell are we doing?
Yeah.
I mean, if we're just going to say what's the narrative, what's the line, then we're no better than the establishment. So let's have real conversations. Even if they're tough, even if they upset people, which means that, you know, if you're, you know, a big, it doesn't matter. It'll statewide level, national level, whatever. I think we can do better. I think we could do more.
Absolutely.
All right. Who's we got up first here? Andy. Hey, Andy, you're on News Talk STL. What's your take?
Hey, so I think MAGA people or people who support Trump, we also like DeSantis. So it's not a DeSantis-Trump thing. What aggravates myself and Trump supporters is whenever conservatives toe the narrative that the liberals give them. For example, whenever you talked about the shooting, his speech he gave at the shooting, the way you said that was exactly the way that Biden put it to his crowd that he was speaking to. And that's not the way he said that. Now, his words may have said that, but the rest of his speech wasn't sounding like that. You could replace the word, the phrase that he said, "We got to get over it," with we've got to get through this, and that would make sense with the words that came before him saying that and the words that came after it. But whenever you say it the way that Biden said it, you're misrepresenting what he meant. So yes, we are going to defend that. Now, to say that MAGA people completely, to portray it like a cult is wrong. I mean, we stood up to his what he felt about the vaccine. So yes, we do call him out when he's wrong, but we can't call him out whenever he's not. And it is aggravating whenever the conservative media toes the line and takes their talking points from the left.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, and I've got 45 seconds left here. So, Andy, hey, thank you. This is exactly what I was talking about.
Yes.
Thank you very much. And I appreciate that. And so here's why I'm glad he brought that up, because my point was, if anybody else had said the same thing, we would have been all over it, but we didn't even mention that until we have this topic. I didn't talk about that, but because he used those words, had anybody else done that, it would have been a whole different story, but you're concerned about who said it, and we're not able to have the conversations even when they're internal.
So we're not even bringing it up.
We're not even bringing it up, and I didn't bring it up. And so it's not looking for things to nitpick, but it's saying that nothing should be off the table.
Right.
And I actually do point out that that Andy did make a differentiator. He said because the conservative media, as opposed to MAGA, there's a lot of overlap, but there are some differences as well.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Thank you.
Absolutely.
The latest news.
Iowa, thank you. We love you all. In spite of all of that they threw at us, we've got our ticket punched out of Iowa.
The news you need to know.
I believe that Hunter Biden should be held completely in contempt.
Texas has a right to secure their borders and secure their state because this administration is failing to do that.
And the place to talk about it.
Biden is going to drive this country into the ground.
101.9 and 94.1.
Right here.
News Talk STL.
Hey guys, Columbo here, reminding you that if you belong to an organization like a school or a church, or your kids are part of a group or a